Welcome back. Welcome to the City of West Miami. Today is our regular commission meeting, Wednesday, May the 2nd, 2018, at 7:40. For the invocation, Ms. Aguilar.
Thank
Let's
you, and
rise.
please rise. And we ask you to take a moment tonight and bow your heads and pray for your special intentions. And especially tonight, we offer our prayers to all the law enforcement members who have lost their life in the line of duty as we celebrate the month of May, Law Enforcement Month. To all first responders, may God keep you out of harm's way, safe, and especially to our military personnel serving to protect our boundaries. We pray for them and their safe return home. And we ask this in your name. Amen.
Amen. Deputy Chief, for the pledge, please.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Roll call. Mayor Eduardo Mujina.
Present.
Vice Mayor Rhonda Rodriguez.
Present.
Commissioner Candida Blanca is excused this evening. Commissioner Juan Blanes.
Present.
Commissioner Luciano Suarez.
Yes.
Mayor, you have a quorum.
Thank you. Next item.
Item 4, presentation of minutes for approval for April 4, 2018, regular city commission meeting.
Motion.
Okay. I need a second. Okay, all in favor
Second.
say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Next item.
Presentation of minutes for approval for April 4, 2018, charter review board meeting.
Motion.
Second.
Okay, all in favor say aye.
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 Yes, presentation of minutes for approval for April 10, 2018, special city commission meeting for the determination of the office of the vice mayor and commissioner by lot.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Presentation of minutes for approval for April 16, 2018, special city commission meeting, induction ceremony.
Need a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
And the last one, presentation of minutes for approval for April 18, 2018, regular city commission meeting.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Lots of meeting in April.
Thank you. Yes. Madam Clerk, at this time, I would like to take an item, point of privilege, item out of order, and that will be item 11J and K.
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Can you read it into the record, please?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Item 11J, request by Miami-Dade County regarding execution of interlocal agency agreement authorizing all traffic control and traffic engineering services under the exclusive jurisdiction of the county. Item K, resolution of the mayor and city commission of the city of West Miami authorizing the city manager to execute an interlocal agency agreement with the city of West Miami authorizing all traffic control and traffic engineering functions under the exclusive jurisdiction of Miami-Dade County, providing for effective date, mayor and city commission.
Thank you. I want to welcome Doraida Rodriguez to our chamber. Thank you for coming. This item is an item that we have contemplated for quite some time. I think before we go any further, I would like to hear from staff. I want to hear from the engineers and so on. Reason being is lately we had some traffic situation in the city of West Miami. A lot of concerned citizens have come forward. As a matter of fact, we had sort of a workshop not too long ago, and so I want to hear some feedback from staff and so on before we move forward.
Mayor, just to give you some history, and members of the city commission, to give you some history on the interlocal agreement. The request for the interlocal agreement was made by Miami-Dade County about 8 or 9 months ago, give or take. We were approached by Claudia Diaz, an engineer associated or part of Miami-Dade County. Claudia informed us that most cities in the Miami-Dade County area had been encouraged by their office to enter into a local agreement whereby an understanding would occur between the agencies that although we own our streets, our inner streets, and our local roads are ours, basically the agreement would serve to notify or to clarify the fact that Miami-Dade County has jurisdiction, complete jurisdiction over certain projects, if you want to call them, or certain roadway conditions, sort of like signalizations, street calmers, speed bumps, speed humps, and anything dealing with traffic. That's how this started. And so what we learned throughout the process with speaking to Claudia, speaking to Darlene, speaking to Director Alice Bravo, and emailing with Doraida recently is that you have 17 out of 34 municipalities that have executed agreements with the county whereby there is an acknowledgement, if you would, that the county has jurisdiction over our roads, and they are the entity responsible for permitting our signalizations, any signage that deals with how the traffic flows in the city of West Miami, as well as other municipalities. So we are, entertaining this agreement. We've had several communications. I think the best person that could pick up from a technical and engineering standpoint has been involved with providing language on this agreement would be our engineers from T.Y. Lin, but Frank Alonso has been our point of contact so that we can come up with language to the contract that everyone, both Miami-Dade County and the city of West Miami, would feel comfortable with. So with that said, I would encourage you to listen from Frank Alonso, and again, if Miami-Dade County, if Doraida Rodriguez would like to come to the podium and also address from their county perspective so that there's a clear understanding of what the intent of this interlocal agreement is all about.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Alonso, if you don't mind, I would like to hear from Doraida Rodriguez first, if you had anything to add.
She needs to come to
You need to come to, I'm sorry. No, just state your name and.
My name is Doraida Rodriguez. I represent the Public Works, Department of Transportation and Public Works for Miami-Dade County. I oversee the traffic operations on the city of Miami, or West Miami area. And I've been in correspondence and in contact with your consultant, your traffic consultant, to put this agreement together. Miami-Dade County has jurisdiction over traffic on all streets, even if those streets are maintained by the municipality. In order to change those controls, the municipalities need the Miami-Dade County approval. And this interlocal agreement is just to give the city of West Miami the authority over certain traffic engineering devices, which are traffic calming devices. We're talking about traffic circles. We're talking about in-street pedestrian warning signs, race intersections, and
speed
speed
humps.
bumps.
Okay.
For those traffic elements, there are certain standards that the city should follow in order to install those standards. The city must have a traffic study justifying those traffic elements, and once the city is responsible for performing the study and keeps record in case the county asks for those records should be available. and the city will install and maintain those traffic calming devices. After presenting the design plans to the county, and the county will approve them. That's pretty much
Thank,
what is the contract.
thank you very much.
To add to that, there is an exhibit that has been provided as part of the ILA, which basically is it talks to the issue of the design that Miami-Dade County is willing to approve on for future street commerce, if the city chooses to proceed with future street commerce.
Thank you.
Right, that exhibit is a design standard for traffic circles. So every time that the city will desire to install this traffic circle, just go by that design. It has to be revised by the county. Under this agreement, the city has the authority of performing the study. If the study justifies the installation of the traffic calming, the city may install it, providing the designs to the county for approval.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Mr. Alonso?
Mr. Mayor, before Frank,
Can we hear from everybody first, or, if you don't mind, I'm sorry. Don't forget the question.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Commissioner. I mean, I think Dorada covered pretty much the ILA. Our understanding is the same as that. Basically, the ILA provides that the city has certain ability to approve things on our own without county's approval, which would be, we would be allowed to perform traffic studies for justification of traffic control devices as dictated in the ILA, traffic circles, speed humps, in-street pedestrian crossings, and raised intersections. So the ILA sets kind of an expedited process, if you will, where we can do these things on our own. We can commission the studies. We can justify the installation of these devices. However, we would still have to go to the county for approval of the actual design of speed humps, raised intersections, and traffic circles, provided that they don't meet what's in the exhibit provided, which is a typical traffic circle, which is what we've installed throughout the city over the last decade. So the exhibit provided is a standard traffic circle. We have the jurisdiction to do the traffic studies, do the design, and install those traffic circles at our discretion. However, when it comes to speed tables and other things that we've discussed in recent meetings, raised intersections, there's a mention of in-street pedestrian crossings, those type of things, we would still have to go to the county for design approval, but we can commission the study and get that part of it done ourselves. So, it does give us some leeway, but more than we have today. Right now, if anything that we do in our streets, we go to the county for approval. So it gives us a little bit of flexibility on what we can do on our own here.
Okay. Anything else? I want to hear from Chief. Do you have anything to add on the subject?
I think it's been covered
Okay.
well.
Okay.
Mayor, if I may,
Yes.
I would encourage that we hear from Juan Pena. He's also been very much a part of the conversations
Okay.
back and forth, and if there's anything that we've missed, perhaps Juan can shed some light.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners. Basically, the ILA, the interlocal agreement, is to ratify 1960 ordinance that the county has for traffic responsibilities, Dade County-wide. And also in 2006, when they reaffirmed it, as far as other municipalities were installing traffic devices at that time without their permission. So that 2006 reiterated their right, plus it included sole jurisdiction for traffic control throughout Miami-Dade County. I have read Florida statutes where it says our local streets are ours. And unfortunately, nobody's ever challenged Miami-Dade County on the 1960 ordinance or the 2006 ordinance. My question to Dorada would be, how many, the other 14 cities, why haven't they signed on? and what is keeping them from signing on. And also past occurrences where like Coral Gate that enclosed the whole area, are those going to remain closed under this ILA? Is everything that's happened before grandfathered, before we actually enter into this agreement?
So those questions haven't been answered
No.
yet, and they haven't been worked on. Okay. Mr. Attorney, do you have anything else to add?
No, Mr. Mayor, it has been made crystal clear that although we believe that there are certain things that we should do within the city is precluded to do whatever we want. In other words, assuming that we wanted a stop sign somewhere, or correct me if I'm wrong, if I wanted to do beware their children, or right hand turn only, and so on and so forth, it would have to go to the county to approve. Is that correct?
Yes. Signalization. Right.
In other words, I believe that there have been a lot of perhaps confusion as to what is it that the city can do. And although we would like to do a lot of things that the citizens demand, our hands are tied pursuant to what we just heard from the engineer and the county.
Okay. Commissioner, you have any?
Yes, I do.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Maybe I'm reading too much into this, but Madam, you said that the county has sole jurisdiction on traffic on all Dade County roads, whether they be in municipalities or not. So if that's the case, why do we need an agreement? And says who? Says who the county has jurisdiction? I just heard the engineer, and I just heard Mr. Pena, and, there's some contradiction there. And Mr. Attorney, I'm asking you, says who? This was an ordinance that was done by the county in 1960, okay? And like Mr. Pena stated, it's never been challenged. So why does the county need to have an agreement if that's the case? If
Well,
that is the law, if that is the law of the land and it's carved out in stone and there's nothing that can move it, why do we need to have an agreement?
I don't think that I can answer the question. I think that it would be the county that can answer the question. If this is what it is, why is it that they need our leave to do what they already have the right to do?
Because maybe they don't have the right to do that, and maybe that's why they want the agreement.
Well, you want to ask the lady that came up from the county?
I sure hope that she comes up and says something in regards to this. I noticed that the city of Coral Gables has not agreed to sign off on this, our neighbors to the east. And are there any variations of agreement with these cities? Is it all like one blanket agreement, or has there been some kind of agreement, between the cities and the county that have agreed to this?
A parity clause, and that's
I don't know what you call it, whatever it is.
a Me Too clause,
But
and that's
basically,
something that
when
our
you- when-
engineer raised.
When you have an agreement, you might not want something, or you might not like something, and there could be an exclusion or an agreement. Is this all a blanket agreement by all these cities to let the county decide what
Commissioner,
kind of signs do they want?
perhaps we should hear from Loraida Rodriguez.
You get to what I'm alluding to?
Shortly.
Okay.
There is a section 295 and 296.1 in the Miami-Dade
Would
Community.
you repeat that again, please?
Sections 2-95 and 2-96.1 of the Miami-Dade County Code. Then all traffic control. Thank you. That all traffic control and traffic engineering services in Miami-Dade County are under the exclusive jurisdiction of the county.
That's the 1960 ordinance?
The sections, I cannot tell you what is, if it is the 19, I don't know the year.
It's public record, you should
It's
know this.
It is public record, I can give you, I'm giving you the section numbers, your lawyer can find out exactly
So
what
this
it
was-
is.
I have to assume that this is from the 1960 ordinance that the county passed.
I cannot answer
has
that
to be.
question. But it is a section, it is in the county code, you can definitely find out your attorney. I'm an engineer, I'm not an attorney. All I can tell you that the county has jurisdiction over,
Why?
it is the law.
Why? Why? Does the city of West Miami tell Coral Gables what to do in their streets?
The county does.
Why? That's my question. I want to know why.
Obviously, there's not an answer to that, Commissioner. Any further questions to Doraida Rodriguez?
You know, the county complains about home rule, and they're always fighting the state, but yet they don't want to give us any home rule to the municipalities.
Actually, this agreement is for the best interest of the municipalities. They want to do the traffic calming devices, and all municipalities that had executed agreements are because they want to take this responsibility under their control. And actually,
But that doesn't make any sense. So the county basically saying, okay, I don't have any more jurisdiction. If you have this interlocal agreement, now you have jurisdiction over your.
you have jurisdiction on only this traffic calming devices that are within this agreement. For all other responsibilities over traffic is county.
Says who?
I think, Commissioner, I think this is not the forum to continue going back and forth. Obviously,
It
by.
it doesn't make any sense.
Obviously, there's a
Mayor,
disagreement,
When
and,
you have time, I want to,
yes.
And then I'd like
Well,
to
no,
know-
like I said,
And then, you know, there's got to be some state law, you know, stemming from Tallahassee, you know, that might interfere with this Dade County law. I mean, do the other counties in the state of Florida also, like Broward County, Monroe County, many other counties in this state, do they do the same thing that Dade County's doing? Is that like a standard type of thing?
There's no
Mr.
such a
Attorney?
thing as a standard statute that governs uniformly every county in the state of Florida. There was the Miami-Dade County was created by, number one, referendum, and number two, by an act of the legislature. So I cannot tell you whether this is a standard procedure in the entire state. I have no idea. There's
Well, I
60
think you, as
There's
our attorney.
67, there's
I-
67 jurisdictions in the state of Florida.
So I think, as our attorney, I think you need to look into that before we decide to agree to this interlocal agreement. How the state law pertains to this matter. I would like to know that before I make a decision. Does that make sense?
Okay.
do you have anything else, Commissioner?
Nope.
Thank you. Commissioner Suarez.
Rodriguez, Ronda.
Rodriguez?
I
Okay.
do have a couple of questions for
Yeah.
Ms. Rodriguez, right?
Mm-hmm.
These ILAs, were they presented to all the cities at the same time?
No, actually, the city approached us to have this ALS.
The city, us?
Actually, all the cities. I
Oh,
have-
other cities,
all the cities
okay.
approached the county to have jurisdiction over certain traffic calming criteria.
Okay, so because other cities approached you, then you're sending it out, I mean, you're requesting it from all cities? So it was brought about because other cities came to you asking for it?
The cities came to us asking for certain jurisdiction over traffic controls, like street names. A lot of some municipalities has the street name that they want because they want to change the color,
Okay.
the design,
Signage,
the street name.
okay.
No, not signage for traffic controls. So street names.
Okay,
Older has Miami Beach has jurisdiction with traffic calming, like this one.
okay.
City of Miami. There are several municipalities that has already they have already the executed agreements, and others are in the process of obtaining.
Okay, so I'm assuming those that prompted this have already signed it, because they asked you for it. So
They a-
they're probably the ones that have already signed.
Right.
Now, are you looking for an end date as to when you would want to have this finished by, to have
I think
those that
it's-
are gonna sign?
I think
By
that there
what
is a
date?
misunderstanding. The county does not want you to have an agreement.
It doesn't?
This is for the benefit of the city having this jurisdiction and having more flexibility on doing what they want to do, other than going to the county every time that you want something done in your city.
Okay, so there's no
There
There's
is
no
there is no
time by-
request from the county to this agreement.
So the county doesn't want this?
The county does want it if the city want to do this.
Okay, now I'm a little bit more confused than I was before, but I understand what you're saying. I understand exactly what you said. I'm not understanding you. I do, but now I'm
Right.
even more confused. So then there is no time by when we should sign this. I'm calling it an end date, for lack of a better.
No pronounce.
We could, you know,
No pronounce.
we can agree to it tonight, tomorrow, next year, 2 years, 3 years from now. It doesn't, the county doesn't, is not bothered by when it's going to be done or if it's going to be done, basically, is
I
what
was
you're
I
saying.
was not present on the conversations between our chief and Yolanda,
Okay,
but I think that this is the mutual agreement.
The
Where-
city did not approach Miami-Dade County.
Okay,
I'll
yeah.
go on record saying that we
Okay.
did not request this agreement. I was contacted by Claudia Diaz from your office.
Right.
And she advised me that they were visiting all the cities to get them to enter into an ILA, the interlocal agreement, so that everybody had a clear understanding in writing that the county had sole jurisdiction over certain devices and signalizations and traffic calmers. We talked about street closures at the time. We talked about every matter concerning traffic, but we didn't go to the county to petition this.
Question, are this roundabouts here or traffic calming devices, the circles that are listed in this Exhibit C, are they built? or-
Yes,
Okay, and they were built with the Miami-Dade County approval?
yes. Mr. Penna, correct? Yes,
Okay.
they were submitted, but we did not approach Miami-Dade County for the purpose of executing an agreement. We followed basically the protocol that we always have followed.
Excellent.
Yeah, but not because we requested an agreement.
Okay.
just
I
a
wanna-
clarification on one more thing that Ms.
By the way, I want to
Rodriguez-
move
Okay.
quickly on this because we have certain items and we have a public hearing and
Okay,
so
just one
on.
more question. The ILA specifically lists exceptions or things that we would be able to do on our own without seeking approval, right?
Right.
Certain things, I didn't write them down, but whatever those traffic devices were, it gives us the flexibility.
No, it's only one.
No,
The
it
circle.
was-
Well, we
No,
have
no,
four.
there was a
We have
list.
four. We
Frank
have-
said, Frank read,
And speed
Come
bumps.
please come to the.
No.
The circle's the only thing that is approved under the ILA. The speed humps, tables, raised intersections,
Required
all those
traffic
out,
study.
we have to submit plans to the county to get them approved.
okay, so that.
And a
that is
traffic,
my-
and a
And a
traffic,
traffic study at the
Right.
cost of the city.
That is,
Correct.
okay, that
Right.
leads into my question.
Right.
So if we sign this, we still have to go to the county. So it's
Except
kind of
for-
contradictory.
Except for the traffic circle? Yes,
So it only allows flexibility on one thing, traffic circles.
correct.
wait a
Which-
minute, just a minute. Traffic circle, as long as the traffic circle conforms to the
Yes.
county.
Correct.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes,
Correct.
But it
understood.
has to be the county anyways, because assuming that we wanted to do another traffic circle, we could not do it. We have to go out to the county, okay?
My confusion, signing this gives us certain liberties, but yet it doesn't, because we still have to go to the county after it's all said and done. That's my confusion. Am I
Except-
correct?
Except for
in-
the circle after a
Except for the
traffic
circles.
study.
Okay, so it's a little contradictory there.
Right.
Thank you. Thank you for answering my questions very much.
Commissioner,
All right.
Yeah, I'm
Commissioner
done.
Suarez?
I'm done.
So, Dorelis, you are very professional, a very nice lady, and we appreciate your visit and your time. And there is a old said here, if it's not broken, don't fix it. You hear that, right? So far, the calmers, the circles that we have here, like as the director of Public Works said, we always submit to the county for final approval. And this has been working. That's the way it has been working. Now, that has been working without surrendering the right of the cities from our streets. Especially in this kind of agreement, you said the county did not make it, so it was made by us. We are surrendering perpetuity our rights. Something that I think that if our city was founded, incorporated in 1946, then in 1960, the county did some kind of ordinance organizing the traffic, and they say, well, we like to have some jurisdiction in the whole county. It was normal because it was a big area. That's why the county was created, to organize the port, the airport, and traffic, and in that time, and firefighters, and all that, the big things. And then in 1954, the county, the county was formed in 1954, I think. Then in 1960 came that ordinance. Now, it was working. The county was working, and the cities were working without surrendering any rights. Then, home rule came in the 50s too, in the county. It's the only county we have the home rule, but we do have. And the question is very simple. If we know that we can have all these circles and all these things, asking once we present the plan to you and the county approve. Now, I understand you are a very fine professional lady, like Dorleen, like Alice Bravo, very professional, and the Mayor Jimenez. Now, Mayor Jimenez is the mayor of a county. And Alice Bravo and all these distinguished executives, they work for the county. But myself, I work for West Miami, for my residents. And I would not surrender the right of the city at perpetuity in 2018, something that was incorporated in 1946. I understand the county, and I think we'll be very clear. I do understand, and I know you're smart, so you will explain Alice and the mayor, whoever it is, that we understand that an umbrella of the county to organize things that should be done, in the work of the whole thing. But me, I don't think that the city should surrender the right, just give the county a perpetuity. As this agreement said, give the jurisdiction to the county. So the city of West Miami is surrendering the rights. And I do not agree that way. I think we have to study this, talk about this, because in the way I see it, I would not vote surrendering our right to the city of West Miami. So, because 10 years from now, one day from now, whatever, I would not sign yes to surrender the city of West Miami, our right, the jurisdiction. And you understand that. I don't know in which city you live. You don't have to tell me where. But you have to defend the right of your city. And I think the county is very professional, it's very nice, wonderful commissioners, wonderful mayor, wonderful executive like you, but we deserve mutual respect. The small cities and the big government, and in this case, I don't think the necessity. If it has been working so far, that surrendered our rights and jurisdiction and perpetuity to the county. No. My personal opinion. I hope you understand my analysis.
I do understand your feelings. The reality is that today, the county has jurisdiction over traffic control devices.
But they
And-
don't want it.
I'm sorry?
But you said they don't want it.
I didn't say that.
No,
Yes,
she
you
said they
did.
don't want. She
Right,
said they
what
don't
she
want
said,
the
what she
interlocal.
said is that this,
There's a lot of contradictions
but
here.
wait, don't,
And-
we're going to be all night about
And-
contradiction,
And
Blanes.
Mr. Attorney, you know, you should be saying something, because, you know.
Commissioner,
what do you mean?
excuse me.
I'm gonna be,
I'm talking.
Commissioner,
I'm being
Commissioner.
put in a position where, you know, I'm gonna vote on something that I really don't know anything about. I don't know what kind of agreement this is. I don't know, you know, every single technical detail about this agreement. You know, if I vote yes for this agreement, you know, the city might be on the hook for something that we don't know anything about. What is the agreement?
With the
Commissioner,
agreement-
let me
What-
finish.
Did somebody bring me the agreement? Because, you know, when you buy a
It's in
It's in the
car,
package.
It's in your packet.
it's in the
Blanes,
package?
Mr.
Every-
Blanes.
Every legality and every regulation and every detail?
No, the agreement
It's a proposed
template is a
agreement.
proposed agreement, has been included in your packet. In addition to that, you have received copies of all the correspondence, the emails back and forth on this for the period of time that we have been involved with. And you got a synopsis from your city engineer and another synopsis
All I've heard
from
is a
your-
lot of contradictions. This, that, the other, the attorney's not clear. I asked.
No, I'm
about-
very clear.
I
I'm
asked
sorry.
about
Wait,
Mr.
wait,
about
Commissioner.
what the
wait.
state law is in
Wait.
reference to this 1960 county ordinance.
No,
You
no,
know, our
I-
public works director that's very experienced, you know, he's apprehensive about this. So, I don't know, I think we need to look more into this.
Well,
Okay,
this is
can I
what you
make
should
it-
do.
no, Wait, hold on a second. Okay. Let me make a suggestion. The way I see it is two ways. Okay, obviously, after listening to everybody, I mean, we're not in agreement. So, I'm not in agreement. I think, as a matter of fact, we have a traffic study that we're gonna have soon. And actually, what raised the flag, especially to me and to the members of this commission, is like Commissioner Suarez says, we represent the citizen of this city, the city of West Miami, and they're concerned. They're concerned about the traffic, and they want to implement certain devices and so on. And I think we're not ready tonight to either vote on this. So I make a suggestion: either we vote and to not hear this item, or we vote to defer the item till time certain, till,
Motion to do that.
Well, before you do the motion, may I make a clarification?
yes, make a clarification.
Commissioner Blanes, I'm very, very clear as to what it is that you're voting on. Very clear.
I'm not.
Well.
I'm not. All I've heard is contradiction. The
Well,
county
there
doesn't
is-
want it, the county wants it, there's jurisdiction, there's no jurisdiction.
There's
And if there's
jurisdiction.
jurisdiction, why do
Well, let me-
we need
we-
to have an agreement?
Let me,
Commissioner Suarez
let
said
me
if-
answer,
if-
Mr.
if
Commissioner.
it's, you know,
if
if
you-
it's not broken, why fix it?
Commissioner, there's a
Whenever
motion
you
on-
want, Mr. Commissioner, I'll answer, okay? But I need for you to settle down a minute and let me respond to you. Number one, there's a law with the county that says they have jurisdiction.
What law? The ordinance,
There's an that's
the
law.
1960 ordinance.
That's law.
Okay, and it's never been challenged.
And never been challenged. Now,
Okay.
the answer to this, Mr. Commissioner, let me speak, please. The answer to that is this. In order to challenge that, you have to file something that is called a declaratory action with the Circuit Court of Miami-Dade County. Okay? Now, if you want us to do that, we'll be happy to do that, but that is going to cost you a lot of money.
Very simple, very simple. You have a motion on the
I have a
table.
motion. Motion to defer.
I think
this
we've
item.
spoken enough on this. Motion to
A
defer.
friendly amendment to the motion, defer indefinitely, not to time certain. So we have time to
Thank you.
get all our questions answered.
Okay, and I will ask the following. Before this item comes to us, it needs to be worked out in such a way that we will be in agreement. Why bring it to the table and, you know, with all these questions? So,
And also, Madam Manager, if you could please reach out to other city managers that have agreed to this. You know, what their take on this is, why they did it, how they feel the city's gonna benefit and its residents are gonna benefit. And Mr. Attorney, can you reach out to the city attorneys and maybe get their take on this too?
I'm
Why
very happy,
they-
and I'm going to give you my opinion. If they claim that they do have the jurisdiction over the cities, why is it that we have to sign something that they have the right on?
Well, that was my first question.
Well, that's my
Wait,
question
wait,
also.
we have a motion, we have a
motion,
second.
please.
Okay,
I
alright.
call the vote.
To
I
defer
call the vote.
indefinitely.
Can I have something, Mr. Mayor?
It's not gonna add anything. Oh, go ahead, Mr. Penna.
Mr. Mayor, it's just to add to the motion to wait until we have a finalized traffic study.
Okay, that's why it's been
Well, that
deferred.
was my friendly
Very good.
amendment for
I
indefinitely.
said, that's the motion. Motion to defer until.
Motion.
Agreed, agreed, in motion.
Motion.
Second,
Okay, call the vote, please.
Yes, Commissioner Suarez, how do you vote?
yes.
Commissioner Blanes,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Rodriguez,
Yes.
Mayor Mujina,
Yes,
4-0, item passes.
thank you.
We didn't mean to give you a hard time. Don't take it personal. you know.
We're very passionate over here.
We like you.
So, before we go any further, which, by the way, Madam Clerk, I would like
Yes.
to ask you for your suggestion on what item to take. But at this time, I would like to recognize Javier Fernandez, just came in.
Whoa, I didn't see
And
him.
Our new state rep.
I know state.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor, thank you for recognizing me. I just wanted to stop in and hear a little bit of the meeting. It's been a long 24 hours, a joyous 24 hours after a long, hard-fought campaign, and personally thank the mayor, members of the commission, city manager, and others for obviously your willingness to be open to conversation with me during this process, informal guidance, and also thank the community of West Miami for its support in yesterday's election. I'm very humbled by the support the community showed and look forward to being an advocate for all of you in Tallahassee. I know some of you have reached out to me personally. Thank you for doing that. It's been an overwhelming day in terms of the reaction, and I just want to stop in and say hello, thank you, and look forward to having more conversation with each of you about important issues facing this community.
Now, let me make a clarification. This might not be the end of the end, only the beginning of the end, because he might have to face 2 more elections. Is that correct?
November.
Yes, we will have to
August?
qualify again in June, on June 21st. It's a run in the primary in August and likely a November general. But again, that's for another day. We're going to enjoy the moment. But in the interim, what I'd like to do is take the next few weeks and months to sit with each of you individually and your administration, learn more about the issues you're dealing with, including traffic issues, which are issues that I certainly heard every day knocking on doors here in this community, and see how I can be of assistance to you both in Tallahassee and here locally, working with other local elected officials in coalition to address these challenges on a countywide basis. So
I'm
thank
glad
you.
you were sitting there listening to all this, and you understand what the alludement to this whole contention is, right?
You know, it is, and
And-
we have
And if there's some kind of state law, that can challenge this ordinance, 1960 ordinance from the county, I mean, I don't know what other counties do, but we need to find out. I would like to know before I vote. Does that make sense? You buy a used car and you drive out the
It's
lot,
already over.
and then you
We
get
had
buyer's
the-
remorse.
We have
You
the
know.
representative now.
Commissioner,
Well, that's the first task right there.
let's grab some coffee and we can sit and talk about it at your convenience.
thank you for coming by.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Mr. Fernandez, I want to express you that the Commissioner Blanca, she left because she had to go. But she was very happy yesterday. We talked on the phone. She called me that you won, blah, blah, blah. So I'm sorry she's not here because she will love to be here and hug you.
I saw her on the way out. I
She's
know
your
she wasn't
good friend
feeling
and
well. She's been a tremendous advocate and friend, and as many of you have as well.
And she's a very good friend of your parents. So I
Yes.
know your family is very close to her.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Have a good evening.
Thank you. Congrats.
So, Madam Clerk,
Yes.
I know we have people in the audience and perhaps related to some items, so I will take your cue
Mr.
on which
Mayor.
item to take.
We have public hearings. We have actually two public hearings, and we have a mitigation. And those are my recommendation here, the two public hearings and the mitigation.
Okay,
first.
so can you read it into the record, please? Which item?
I would start with item
11A? 11A?
11A.
Okay,
This is a public hearing. Property address 1340 Southwest 65th Avenue, West Miami, Florida. Special use permit for plan development 2018-002. Property owner Christopher and Maria Descalzo. Applicant requests a special use permit for plan development for the property at 1340 Southwest 65th Avenue, West Miami, Florida. The property is zoned for R2 duplex, and the applicant is requesting to develop the property by demolition of certain partitions and reconfiguring the existing structure for a newly remodeled two-family one-story duplex, zoning ordinance 282, section 2B41.
And if you want to read the resolution?
Yes, resolution of the Mayor and City Commission of the City of West Miami approving a special use permit for planned development at 1340 Southwest 65th Avenue, West Miami, Florida, 33144. Applicant requests a special use permit for planned development for the redevelopment of the property by demolition of certain partitions and reconfiguring the existing structure for a newly remodeled two-family one-story duplex, and in lieu of thereof, requiring certain terms and conditions. Mayor and City Commission.
thank you. Mr. Penna?
Good evening, Mr. Mayor. On March 27, 2018, the Planning and Zoning Board heard this item and recommended approval as presented in the diagrams you have there, with minor modifications that were included in part of my memorandum. They were attached as conditions for the approval. And we also had a public hearing where members of the public spoke. The comments were basically regarding parking and regarding whether the parcel of land was entitled to have the duplex, which it is. This parcel has been zoned duplex since the 1950s. It just had a large single-family home on it. Again, the home is large, so it was 2,900 square feet. From what I can recall, I don't have a copy of it. I left it with the clerk. The main house is going to have 2,900 square feet, 22,000 square feet, 2,089, I believe, and the additions and the other unit's going to have 900 and plus or minus 25 square feet for the other unit. They're providing new windows. They're providing. They have to provide impact windows. They have to provide impact door, parking for both units, and there's a piece of the property, closet of the property that was approved years ago that's encroaching on the property line. They have to demolish part of that in order to meet the setback.
Okay, I don't see elevations, so it's all the work interior?
All the work is interior except for the encroachment into the setback.
Is that on the south side?
That's correct.
Okay. So that's the only alteration and also
To the exterior, from the front, you
and the
won't
windows.
really be able to tell that it's a duplex because there's a curved wall on the north side, which is where the new unit's going to be at, and that wall stays, the door's behind that, so it's a private patio type. So you won't be able to see the actual entrance to the duplex, to the second unit.
So that will be a new door,
That's correct.
but it's not seen from the street because the curved walls and,
That's correct. And for our discussions with the architect, the wall's staying.
okay? And you said it was approved by the Planning and Zoning Board,
Recommended for approval.
recommended for approval. Does anybody have any question for Mr. Penna?
And also, we notified 500 radius feet around the property.
So, Mr. Brenner, in your opinion, this is an improvement to the property?
Yes.
But aesthetically, you said nothing's going to change, so it won't be noted, the improvement will not be noticed from the outside?
You will notice the new driveways, they're either stamped or brick, they have the option. And the windows will be new windows because they're impact windows. And any roof work has to be replaced with vinyl tile roof.
Okay, so there will be aesthetic improvements that will be noticed from the
Somewhat.
outside, okay.
Print. Save as PDF. Yeah.
I believe the owners are present if you have any questions for them.
Okay.
Question, it's a simple question. One, this is going to be 4-2 and 2-1, right?
Something that says go.
It's going to be a
Four.
3-2, I believe, and a
Three?
2
No,
and a 1-1.
4, huh?
Now.
1,
I don't have my
existing,
memo
And
with.
attach it.
but 3. No. 3-2, 3-2 and 2-1, or 4? No, it's okay, 3-2. And 2-1, okay.
Correct. It's, like I said, it's a humongous house. It's a 2-1 and a
Yeah.
3-2.
They
What was it
still,
called? History?
upon approval, if it's approved tonight,
No, see? I don't
then
know
they
if
have
that's
to
what it was
submit,
called.
Building permit,
building permit, I mean,
plans for the building
plan
permit.
for, okay, for permit. Okay, any further questions?
Motion?
No, we need to open the public
Oh,
hearing.
okay, I'm
And,
sorry.
do you want to add anything to the presentation? State your name and address for the record.
Hi, good evening. I'm Christopher Descalzo, my wife, Maria. We're here. Thank you for listening to us, and thank you for your consideration. We're very happy to have made the purchase of this house. It's going to remain exactly how it is today, except we're going to paint it and put the windows and so forth. The house is extremely large, and we can, in fact, it could have been done with that in mind when it was built in 1970. So we're not going to increase the size by 1 foot. We're going to adhere by the demolition of that side that was created for a sauna or something like that. So it's going to be great. We're happy to have made the investment, and we look forward to many years with you folks here. And
Are you planning to live in the house? or
no,
you
we
plan to-
don't. We live a few blocks away, but that's an investment property that my wife and I
Okay.
will own and operate.
Okay,
Okay? Thank you
Thank-
for having us.
thank you.
Thank you.
If you don't have any further question, I want to open the public hearing, come back for discussion and so on. Open the public hearing. Does anybody wants to speak on the subject? Going once, going twice? Back to the table. Public hearing is closed. Any further comments, discussions? I need a motion.
Motion,
Second.
Okay, is that a motion for approval or disapproval?
approval.
Okay, all right. Just want to make sure. Call the vote, please.
Yes, Commissioner Blanes, how do you vote?
Yes.
Commissioner Suarez?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Rodriguez?
Yes.
Mayor Pena?
Yes.
4-0, item passes.
Mayor, if I may suggest we have an item on the agenda, requested mitigation, if we could take it out of turn.
Yeah, no, that will be, let me finish this. Thank you. And welcome once again to the city of West Miami.
What was that?
Let's see,
What was
everybody's
that?
awake, huh?
What was that?
I wanted to make sure that everybody was awake. Okay, can you read the mitigation item into the record, please?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Item 11F, this is a request for mitigation of code enforcement liens for code violations at 5733 Southwest 9 Terrace, West Miami, Florida, and owner Group 10 Capital Management LLC. Should I read the resolution also, Mr. Mayor?
Please, again, which item is this? Which letter?
These are item F and G.
Okay, got it. Yeah, go ahead and read the resolution.
Item 11G, resolution of the mayor and city commission of the city of West Miami authorizing the city manager to accept a mitigation offer in the amount of blank from Group 10 Capital Management LLC on code enforcement liens for code violations at the property located at 5733 Southwest 9 Terrace, West Miami, Florida, providing that if payment in full is not paid by blank, then the amount owed shall revert to the original amount, providing for effective date, Mayor and City Commission.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, this is a property on the older part of the city that fell into disrepair. It actually was one of the original homes built in the 1920s. It had a guest house in the back that through the years it was altered and to the point where it lost its non-conforming. All the violations have been taken care of. It took some time, so the fines accumulated to $285,400. And today, it's a very nice home. And the detached non-conforming was demolished and removed.
Okay. So everything is clear from not only code enforcement, but also
From building, yes.
Building, okay?
I believe the owner and his attorney are present.
Okay, do you want to come forward? State your name and address for the record. And I believe counsel is here too?
That's what they called me
Ah,
for the past 38 years. Mr. Mayor, members of the commissioner, Ms. Vice Mayor, my name is Armando Ucelo. I've been a practicing attorney in the state of Florida for 37 years. And I happen to be a very good friend of that gentleman over there, Pepe Villalobos, and even closer to Yolandita. We grew up together. She says I chaperone her. I don't know about that.
we're not going to hold that against you.
He's
Maybe,
not-
maybe Armando
Since you're
Aguilar.
very thorough, Mr. Commissioner, I think she chaperoned me, but don't pick on her, please, don't.
That's going back a long time ago, huh?
Yes, I'm leaving. And I'm not with the county, sir. This is a property that was in distress. I want to commend Mr. Peña for all he did. It's been a comedy of errors back and forth because my client, whom I've known for many, many years, had a partner that somewhat disappeared, Mr. Mayor. And when he thought that things were being done, things were not being done. I know a little bit about code enforcement because I was a code enforcement board attorney for the city of Miami for 20 years. As a matter of fact, I wrote the code and revised it. And if I may add something, you are so correct with the state of Florida intervening in a myriad of things. We do have 67 counties. And when you have a conflict between state, county, forget about federal government, and a municipality, my opinion, and I've been doing this, like I said, 38 years, is that, like the commissioner said, the city should prevail and should dictate what it is best for the city because you live here. And the county, and I know Carlos, we go to the same church. We go back many, many years. I was in politics for a long, long time ago. I think that's a travesty that happens. The property has lost 3 contracts in the process, Mr. Mayor. We have someone there now. The contractual price now is over $150,000 less. As we speak, if the contract closes without a single penny here, and I know we're going to receive a fine, hopefully not too bad, he's losing right now $125,000 from where he purchased the property to now. I have chronologically a list of the history of the property from its inception. In 2015, I've been dealing with Mr. Peña for the past few months. I've been dealing with the city attorney since November, with your city manager, the city clerk. This was set before code enforcement erroneously because we had received word that it had been approved. It was not approved at the time. Mr. Peña then signaled out a few items that needed to be taken care of, and we promptly did. It wasn't easy because, like I said, there were 2 partners, and Mr. Soriero, who's here, thought that it was being done, and once he jumped in, sir, it was done promptly. So I ask for your indulgence, forgiveness, and sympathy. Thank you for allowing me to present it.
Thank you.
No, my pleasure.
Like always, I want to turn to Mrs. Aguilar. Obviously, and by the way, I do have a lot of respect for, because I had a similar situation. And thank you for coming to the plate, because also my partner is gone, and I was the one who came to it in my own business. So I got
I
stuck.
appreciate that.
I
It's
got
tough.
stuck with the bill.
You're
So
you're looking at him here.
Ms. Aguilar.
I apologize, Mr. Mayor. We have conferred, I have conferred on this item with the city attorney, and obviously, I know that your client, Mr. Bucelo, and I act here as Mrs. Aguilar and not Yolandita, but.
I'm sorry, I forgot that.
So.
To me, you're Yolandita, I don't care
So
where
this
I'm
is
at.
obviously a business decision as much
Yes.
as I love you dearly, so.
I know that, I know that.
And we have discussed the time that the city has spent on the file, the
Yes, ma'am.
violations, and the detriment that the property caused to the surrounding area. And this is not attributable to your client, because
you.
we understand that he purchased the property with a violation.
That is correct.
So that being said, it is not expected that we will see anywhere near the amount of money that you have already in recorded liens and fines. And so we are recommending a mitigation, a unified recommendation from both the city attorney's office, my office, and actually Mr. Pena for $25,000. That would be our recommendation for full and final settlement, so that hopefully we can move on and get this property in the rightful hands of a new owner and somebody who's going to be adding to the tax base and the city's by continued, increase in property taxes and quality of life.
Is this,
We will consider a lower number, no?
is the property, okay, is the property being sold, or is it, or? Come to a microphone, yeah. State your name for the record, address, and then clarify.
Sam Serrero, 5733 Southwest 9th Terrace is the property. I had a buyer. The property has been a nuisance for years. Juan's seen me numerous times, more than he'd care to see. So bought it with a partner. She did a bunch of unpermitted work, brought in a new contractor, tried to solve the problem. I actually had a buyer. The property was said to be in compliance in November. I listed it for, at that point, I had a contract, and I actually let the buyers move in because they had to get out of their apartment, yada, yada. And plus, this property's been robbed twice. I probably had $20,000 worth of air conditionings, and I've got the police reports to prove it. So I let them move in just so it wasn't a nuisance, and because this hearing got pushed out so bad, or I couldn't clear up the title to sell it, their mortgage approval just fell through and they moved out actually yesterday. So I'm actually going to be relisting the property again to try and get out of this nightmare, which we probably both want to see this go away.
Okay, wow.
I have a question.
Yes, Commissioner.
It is a house where Nicolas used to live in the back house. You remember Nicolas?
I know Mr. Mullet used to live there at one time. He named it Villa Mullet. It's still on the wall.
Carlos.
Erase that
remember-
from the record, please.
No, I'm trying to identify a property. You remember that
Well, that
guy,
was his last name.
Nicolas, last name was his dog, he called because the dog have problems. You remember, was a good friend of mine. Once you was there and you solved the problem, I just tried to identify you don't remember, okay, that was.
Does anybody have a
years
photo
ago.
of,
No,
a
it's all
photo
right.
of
I
the
just-
front of the house?
No, because I know some properties there, that's all right, don't worry.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
one thing that needs to be noted here, as stated by Mr. Serrero, that this place has been a nuisance. It's been robbed 2-3 times. It's been a total mess for the neighborhood. So
Thank you.
we need to think about the quality of life of the residents in the surrounding area, how they suffered. I mean, no one's talking about that.
I did,
You know,
I
you,
mentioned, and.
you're a businessman, for every possession, there's a duty. Just like for every opportunity, there's an obligation, and for every right, there's a responsibility. think Henry Ford said that. But anyways, you know, the ones that have been holding the short end of the stick here have been the residents that have had to deal with this situation. And you know what? I happen to agree with the city manager. You know, if that's what she says, that it has cost us to, you know, to mitigate and
To
to address
administer
this
the
issue
file.
through the years. I mean, there's an intangible here that, you can't really put a price on because, you know, somebody's quality of life, worrying about this property being broken into, you know, what if their property, you know, is gonna get broken into because this property has been abandoned, has been, you know, neglected. So, you know, like I say, you know, there's a responsibility, and I don't think the responsibility was kept. So I happen to agree with the city manager on the amount, which you said it was what?
$25,000.
$25,000. I make a motion for that.
Second.
Okay. Will you take a friendly amendment? No.
Sure, sure.
Well, he made the motion. Well, I agree with you. I agree with you in the case that our people suffer and all that, but I look at the other side of the coin. We could be looking at a property that nobody cares, nobody takes responsibility for it, and this gentleman is taking responsibility for it, and now, as I understand it, he brought it up to code. It's not in dilapidated condition. The only thing we need to hold to it is that gets maintained, otherwise, you know, code enforcement will hit you again. So, and again, I respect the manager.
Sure.
But from what I understand, we talking to a person that is already losing money, and on top of that, we're gonna go and
Well,
penalize them.
again, you know, you go into business, you make decisions, and, you know, there's cause and effect. You know, you gotta use your judgment. And, you know, you definitely had some bad judgment. You know, you had a partner, you know, that let you down.
Me too.
And again, you know, that's, you know, what fault is it of the resident that lived next door that had to endure, you know, that horrible quality of life for so long? And it was in your hands to take care of the situation, but you
The
didn't.
Commissioner, with all due respect, that he did as best as he could under the circumstances.
enough.
Well, that he's paying the price. He's losing about
Well,
$150,000 without even including this.
How much is the fine?
Over $270,000.
I mean, I could say a motion for $275,000, and then what? I mean, you know.
No, I'm not arguing, I'm just saying, but he did try to
if-
take care of it
if
as
the
best he
city-
could, and, you know.
Very, very simple.
And our
manager-
job is to try to recoup the resources that the city has employed during the period of time, and we understand that you were not the cause. You were part of the solution. Nonetheless, the city has to look
Well,
at the
I
property.
disagree with that statement. But, like I say, I made the motion. You said that it has cost the city through the years $25,000, police, code enforcement, paperwork,
Postage,
you know,
hearings.
postage here, there, you know, phone calls, you know, I mean, you know, plus, you know, the quality of life, the impact that that property had on the.
Commissioner, we got it. Just simple question.
So what?
Will you take a
what is-
friend?
What is your,
My friendly amendment is, will you think $15,000 will be enough?
Please.
20?
You have our recommendation. It's up to
I'm
you
going
all
against
to-
her recommendation. She said 25, and then, you know, when she
I-
said
I-
25,
all I said is-
when it comes to numbers, she's on the money, okay? And, you know, out of respect, okay, I'll accept 20.
Can I just ask one question? Mr.
Yeah.
Penna, there's a date here, 4/23/18. Is that when these violations started, or how far back does this file go?
That's when they stop. Right,
Because I'm seeing here
3 years.
4/23/18, so 3 years.
right. Well, that's when he bought it, and then that's when the process.
And I
began.
inherited some violations on my property.
All of them, yeah, all of them.
So
were-
the file goes back even longer than that, then?
Oof.
It
Yes.
goes back, I think, at least 2008, I think, were the first violations.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a friendly amendment.
And another friendly amendment We have to, like, 25, 15, and 20 by Commissioner Blanes.
No. I said 20.
20.
20,
He said 15,
20,000.
and I agreed to 20.
20,000.
And then the period of time that needs to be paid.
Yes,
Yes,
please.
very important.
Mr. Attorney,
It's up to the commission to set forth a period of time in which to pay. Otherwise, it would go back to the original amount. In other words, you can give the gentleman the X number of days. What do you think, Mr. Pacelo, that he would be able to come out with the $20,000?
I'll have some leeway on this one.
60
So,
days, Commissioner?
60 days?
Please.
Absolutely.
Thank you, sir.
Do you need
And
longer,
if they
sir?
don't
Do you need longer?
comply with
Well,
that.
we would like
the-
longer, but I mean, he just lost the fourth
Counsel?
contract.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
I was hoping to sell the property after.
Could we have 90, Mr. Commissioner?
Counsel, I think
Oh.
our counsel said something. To
And
Mayor,
if
Yes.
I need to
the pay-
clarify something.
Yes.
Yes.
Villalobos, I need to clarify something. Because Commissioner Blanes was following the manager recommendation to 25. And I second that motion because I was following the manager recommendation 25. Then when you make the friendly amendment, the 15, that was after they make a motion for that. So,
But then he accepted
the
20.
motion on 25 and the second on 25 overruled your friendly amendment?
He accepted 20.
20?
Yes.
All right, I second the 20.
Okay.
Okay?
So
And,
what I'm trying to do is get rid tonight of this.
Yes,
the
absolutely.
original day.
It's, okay, is 60 day sufficient?
Yes, I think he said 90.
That'd be
90?
great. That'd be great. Can I have
Okay.
that?
I'd like
we-
to give 90.
Yeah.
Okay, that's another friendly amendment. Okay, I agree to that
I'd like
too.
to give 90.
Thank you very much.
And
Okay.
if the amount of is not paid within that time, the fine will go to the original amount.
It could be earlier if we sell the property, because we would need a release from you, obviously, to clear
Yes.
title, so that will happen, and then everything will dissipate. Thank you very much.
Okay. And if you need more time, you can always come back to the commission and seek for more time. Okay?
Thank you very much.
Wait, we need a
to
vote.
call the vote,
Oh,
Mr.
yeah.
Call the
Mayor.
vote.
Yes. Commissioner Blanes, how do you vote?
Yes.
Thank you.
Commissioner Suarez?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Rodriguez?
Yes.
Mayor Mujina?
Yes.
4-0, item passes.
Thank you.
Now, excuse me,
Thank you, sir.
before you go, I'd like to tell this young commissioner, the mayor, the vice mayor, and the commissioner. You are older than me, so you know about it. That when if you go to the 8th Street, once you pass 67th Avenue, you will see a plaque there from his father's name. From the when was that dedication? In the 80s?
1990-something.
90-something, yeah.
You're gonna
his
make me
father-
cry. I just lost my father a few months ago. My father
Yeah.
was 98 years old. He was my
Yeah, his father, that was,
His
a law
Best
partner,
friend.
my best friend.
and
My
his-
mother's 90 now, and she's not really wanting to continue living. She's losing interest. I don't mean to make you all cry. Yolandita knows my parents very well. Pepe, I know, loved my dad dearly.
I did too.
And I know you did.
well,
And he was honored. He was chess champion of Cuba for 27 years. He did a lot here in Miami. He had Alzheimer's, so I was praying for his demise.
yeah, I have the, how can I
appreciate that
express?
very much, Mitch.
To meet your father a lot of times and talk to your father. Don't have his friendship like this Villalobos was, but I remember your father, I was in different activities with your father, and I tell you, when you drive around, in the right side, the northbound,
Yeah.
you will see there, State of Florida dedication to his father.
Dr.
Armando
Armando
Bucelo.
Bucelo Way,
Senior,
Yeah,
senior way.
senior. Because I'm junior, my son is the third.
And if I may, Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
and one thing about Mr. Bucelo, who is quite modest. Mr. Bucelo was the president of the Cuban American Bar Association.
Wow.
And on the day that he was inaugurated, he was presented with the American flag that flew over the capital of the United States of America, the House, the Senate, and the presidential palace. So I think that this is something that we have to recognize about Mr. Bucelo, because he was recognized by the President of the United States, and the Cuban American Bar Association was recognized by the Cuban American Bar Association during the tenure of Mr. Bucelo.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, was a great man, great man.
You have made my evening.
Oh, there you.
Forget about the fine, I forget. That's it.
That's his problem.
Good night, good night. Good night.
Good luck, sir. Better luck than you've had. Pleasure.
Just be a little more careful when you buy the next property. Keep buying properties in West Miami.
So once the resolution is executed, we'll send it to your office, Mr. Bucelo.
Madam Clerk, which item shall we take?
I would recommend maybe the bid tabulation, since the engineers are here. And we still have another
Cliff
public
Notes and Reader's
hearing.
Digest, I suggest.
Well, why don't we do whatever is related to the engineers next?
Yes, okay.
Warp speed.
That'll be items 11H and I. Item 11H is the bid tabulation report by the Office of City Clerk in reference to Cooper Park electrical repairs due to Hurricane Irma and code compliance projects, and recommendation by staff. And item I is a resolution of the mayor and city commission of the city of West Miami authorizing the city manager to enter into an agreement with AU Electrical Service and Repair for the amount of $21,883 for the purpose of accomplishing the Cooper Park electrical repairs due to Hurricane Irma and code compliance project, providing for funding from, I didn't have the information when,
This is an item, Mr. Mayor, that would be reimbursed if we were to proceed with it after your consideration and approval, would be funds to be recouped by FEMA under 406 money, which is mitigation money, otherwise not funded by our insurance company. And so I'll ask some questions after you deliberate on the issue.
okay, and thank you, and providing for effective date, mayor and city commission.
Thank you. Mr. Penna?
Mr. Mayor, on April 9th, we had a bid opening for the repair work to the electrical system at Cooper Park. This was our main distribution panel that feeds the electricity to the whole park. Came down during Hurricane Irma due to a tree falling on top of it. The park was without light for a while. We did some temporary repairs to keep operating it, but it needs to be replaced. But like always, when you replace old stuff, you got to bring it up to code. So aside from bringing it back up to code, we are also relocating it to a safer spot away from the street. So a couple of months ago, you commissioned the engineers to draw the plans for the new work. And this is the $21,883 from AU Electric Service is the lowest bid on the 3 bids that we received.
Okay. And your recommendation?
To award AU Electric with the work.
Okay.
They've done work for us in other non-bid items before, and a very professional company.
Okay. Any further question to Madam Manager?
Mr. Mayor, if I may ask a question of Mr. Penna and the engineers on this. If we wait approximately 90 days, would our price change? And the reason for this question is, as I explained to you earlier this evening, Commissioner Blanes, we are struggling to get our projects funded by FEMA, and the more we provide them with information, the more information they want. So as of today, we have no guarantees that if you approve this project and we award the contract, that they in fact will pay for this. This is something we are going to submit for their consideration. However, we are not guaranteed that we will be reimbursed for this money. Our insurance company has denied it because it falls below the threshold of what they will cover on damages, although it's our opinion, and Juan and I had this discussion today, that we're going to appeal the insurance company's denial, but there's going to be a period of time that will, that we will have to engage both the insurance company and FEMA to see who's going to pay for it at the end of the day. However, if it's not going to be reimbursed by any of them, my question to Mr. Penna is, and to the city attorney, can we use impact fee money from parks to go ahead and do the necessary repair work and then go after either insurance or FEMA on this? Mr. Penna?
Again, I believe we can because it's an improvement and it's going to have more capacity than the original panel has. And anytime you increase capacity, you're allowed to use impact fee money for it.
Because it's a capital improvement.
Correct. And, but however, you know, we need to explore the insurance and the
No question.
FEMA funds for it.
What's, when they put in the bid, what's the time that they will hold the price?
I believe, I don't have the contract with me, but I'm pretty sure I either put 6 months or a year.
That's a long time. I'm surprised that somebody will sign a contract. Are you sure of that?
Yep, pretty sure. It's either 6 months or a year.
Wow. They really want to work with us.
Mayor, I have another question, if I may, sir, with.
No, and I have another question. I haven't finished.
Sorry.
It's either, I
I
either
have
put
another question.
180 days or 365, one of the
Okay,
two.
I have another question. It has nothing to do with price. Now it has to do with life safety.
Oh, there you go.
The park is being without light for quite some time.
No, the park is lit. We were able to repair the old panel sufficiently to power it back up.
Okay.
However, it is not safe. It's not
Wait,
secure.
wait, what was that word you said? It's not safe?
It's not safe as far as structural wise.
Okay.
And it.
What do you mean? Can you clarify?
We put additional supports to hold it, but it's not built to code because code has changed. In the last time we replaced that panel was 1981.
Okay.
Code has changed a lot from then to now.
We should, I know money is important, but more money
Safety
is more
is-
important. Yeah,
safety is even more
safety is, I mean, the question that I always put, and I know this is not the case over here, but I always put, you know, when people start questioning, and I go, okay, can you put a price on somebody's life or getting injured or something? If it's not, you can't put a price. And I'm sorry, I respect you.
No, sir.
But
I was gonna ask the same question.
Okay.
So,
So, you know,
We do have a barrier around it so nobody goes near it, but
okay.
Is this the panel right off of 16th by the toddler playground?
that's correct.
Okay.
You know how kids are.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to be sure I was thinking that's what it was, that's
Curioso.
exactly where it is.
What's a curioso?
then,
Curious.
Curious.
He's got it pretty well.
then that said, Mr. Mayor, I believe that we can use impact fee dollars for the recreation center. Get it done since we do have a potential life safety issue at hand. And we will do everything in our power to try to get it reimbursed by FEMA or insurance.
Okay.
I think we should proceed that way.
I agree.
And that will be from the Park Impact Fund.
Park impact fee.
Yeah, you said recreation. I
I'm
mean,
sorry,
impact.
park impact fee.
Are we ready for a motion?
Okay, unless you have any further questions?
I have a question. One, I know it was different companies and different prices. And I know other companies ask for higher price than this. You think this price is correct for what the job has to be done?
Yeah, our engineer's estimate was pretty close to this price too.
That's what you mentioned, right? These people can do it. All right.
The engineer's estimate of probable construction cost for the project was $20,000.
Motion.
Second,
Call the vote?
Yes, Commissioner Blanes, how do you vote?
yes.
Commissioner Suarez,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Rodriguez,
Yes.
Mayor Mujina,
Yes.
4-0, item passes.
Any other item? I think I have an item here that could be related to actually engineer and police and so on, and that will be item D. And I know it's a first reading, no discussion, but I would like to take that item.
Okay, Mr. Mayor. Item 11D, this is a first reading. An ordinance of the City Commission of the City of West Miami, Florida, amending ordinance 282, Section 5, subsection 5.2, off-street parking by amending parking requirements for land use sections in single-family duplexes, apartments, mixed-use corridors, motels, hotels, retail businesses, commercial churches, theaters, auditoriums, and similar places of public assembly, restaurants and public dining rooms, office buildings, clinics, hospitals, and welfare institutions, adding subsection 5.10 and 5.11, establishing requirements for parking spaces, access to buildings, and visitor parking, adding subsection 5.2b, tandem parking, subsection 5.2c, visitors and commercial property, and subsections 5.2d, regulating parking with non-paved areas, property, providing for codification, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date. Mayor and City Commission. This
Thank
is
you.
the first reading.
Motion.
Thank you, Madam, no, wait. Before we make a motion, this is the first reading, but I want to, okay, like I said, we can't discuss it, so just hear me out for a second. This item, and the words of Commissioner Blanes comes to mind, that we have something very small, and we can't mess it up. So, I see this item related to the traffic study. I see this item related to the conversation that we had. It has to do with cars and so on. I think the same way that we defer the other item, I think we should also defer this item till we have, parking, the traffic study and so on. I mean, that's what I think we should do, and then I leave it up to you guys.
I don't think we should. This is a lot more involved than just traffic. I don't know if you had a chance to read it, but it is a lot more.
We can discuss it.
Okay. So I think that we need to move on it. And then maybe at the next meeting, we can discuss it, but we would have it already working towards hopefully improving the quality of life of all the residents of the city of West Miami.
May I?
I don't know, I gotta
I'm not-
talk.
I'm not
Mr.
going to
Attorney?
discuss it. I'm not going to discuss it.
Okay,
But I always prepare for my meetings by meeting with staff if there's something on the agenda that I need more information on, clarification. So I did meet with staff on the agenda today, and what I learned lends me to your suggestion, Mr. Mayor, that we defer this. And I don't want to discuss it, so I'm not going to tell you what I learned, but what I learned today leads me to your deferral as well. I agree with that. No discussion.
I don't think a traffic study will have any bearing on this at all
It's,
whatsoever.
I learned other things today in my discussion, but we can't discuss it now. I learned other things in my meeting with staff today.
Well, we can pass it and discuss it in the next, how are we gonna discuss it if we don't pass it? On the first reading? Doesn't make any sense.
I believe it should be deferred.
It doesn't make any sense. How are we gonna discuss it publicly for the benefit of the residents of the city of West Miami if we don't pass the first reading?
I'm not saying to this, well,
What would you
I
like?
I need your guidance, because last time I spoke.
Well, the issue is
Mr.
this,
Attorney,
there
I-
have been a motion in the table,
Okay,
and there's have been a request for clarification, and it should be second, and if the majority approves it, then it would go out to the second reading. If the majority does not approve it, the motion fails, and then there's another suggestion that it should be deferred, and I should have a motion and a second, and see whether we want to defer or not. But since there is a motion on the table, it should be voted upon.
okay, before that, Mr. Attorney, I need to ask you a question. Normally, I don't make a motion, I don't even know if I can make a motion. Today, we have one person less.
Pass the gavel. Pass the gavel, and then you can make a motion.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
But there's
So
a
we have,
motion on the
we have a
table.
motion, we have a motion on the table by Commissioner Blanes.
There need to be a second.
I need a second.
What is the motion?
Can you explain it, Commissioner?
First reading,
Yeah, no discussion.
first reading. If we don't pass it, then we can't discuss it. So I make a motion to pass this ordinance first reading.
Well, the motions for first reading always is automatically.
No, we have to vote on it.
Well, normally I make a motion for the first reading, but it's to continue it. I mean,
So you second the motion?
I second the motion.
Okay.
Okay, the motion has been second. Call the vote.
Commissioner Suarez, how do you vote?
Yes.
Commissioner Blanes?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Rodriguez?
No.
Mayor Mujina?
No.
It's a
Motion
tie.
fails.
It's a tie.
Okay, Mr. Attorney, we need your guidance. How do you,
The motion fails, then the next motion is, or suggestion is whether or not it should be deferred.
I really hope there's a good reason for this. That's all I can say.
Sir, I cannot read people's mind, so I don't know.
Oh, no,
whether
I'm
this
just
is a
making that
good-
comment. I don't expect you to answer that.
Well,
okay, but
I,
let's,
you know-
let's move on. Let's move on. There's other items on the agenda.
Let me put it this way, let me put it this way. There was a motion to approve it, and it was not it was second,
Yes.
and it was defeated. So the motion dies, period.
That's it.
Okay,
That's it.
That's
Thank
it?
you. Thank you.
And I
Okay,
just said that there better be a good reason for that, I hope,
okay.
that I'm not aware of.
Keep going.
All right, next item.
Mayor, I recommend hearing the item C, which is a public hearing also, a second reading of an ordinance. May I?
Yes.
Item 11C, this is a second reading, a public hearing, an ordinance of mayor and city commission of the city of West Miami, further clarifying the duties of the city manager, specifically defining Article 4, Section 404I by complementing that section to include execution of all deeds and any other documents as the city administrator, as authorized by Article 4, Section 404J, as defined in the City of West Miami Charter, authorized by the City Commission, providing for interpreting provisions, providing for legislative intent, providing for a savings provision, providing for codification, providing for conflicting ordinances, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date, mayor and city commission. And this public reading was published on a newspaper of general circulation on April 20th, 2018.
Okay, who's talking about this? Mr. Attorney?
Well, this was amply discussed during the
Charter review.
Charter Review Board, and basically what it states is that the a manager, since she's able to execute contracts, that she should also be able to sign deeds. And this will be pursuant to your instructions. And this is all what it says.
Okay. Any further questions?
I have a question.
Yes.
This question is already was discussed in the charter review, and this question is going to be presented to the voters.
No, sir,
That's
that's
what I
not
understand.
going to be presented to voters.
Yeah, I understand that. That's why the charter review discussed.
Why did it discuss it?
No, this was discussed in the charter review.
Yes.
And the charter review approved to take this to the ballot.
No, sir.
That's what I understand.
Well, sir, that was not the fact. The fact was that it was discussed.
You said that was in the charter review?
Sir, it was discussed in the charter review, and it was plainly explained that this was not part of the voters'
amendments.
amendments. So it was plainly stated that this was only a way for the commission to clarify something that was not clear, and that the manager should do things as the commission commands through ordinances. But this will not, and it was said time and time and again, and I don't know how many hours we spent on this, that this would not go out to the voters because it was not within the purview of the charter review.
Now, I have a question for you, Bielo. Attorney, counsel, why the charter review get together?
We read every single item and clauses within the charter. And since the duties of the manager is within the charter, this is why it was reviewed, because every single word in the charter was reviewed by the Charter Review Board.
This is not my question, Mr. Attorney. My question is the charter review, why the charter review get together to review the charter? Why?
Because it was mandated by the charter, sir.
But I have to understand, and you know, that the charter review get together to review the charter, and then whatever meeting of the minds of the group goes to the voters.
No, sir.
What?
This was explained to you and to the Charter Review.
I'm not asking you that, Villalobos. I'm asking you, the charter review get together to take to the voters the issues. That's the function of the charter review board. That's the reason of the charter review board every 10 years or every 8 years. The charter review get together to discuss in the charter review members, and then at the end, they put together questions in the ballot. That's what I have to understand. It's no other reason, charter review. If you're going to make this in the commission, you don't take it to the charter review.
Sir, apparently you were not here when that was discussed.
No, you give me
Because
the answer
see,
you like.
no,
but
I am
that- but
telling
know.
you, I am telling you what it was discussed time and time again. There were two items, one was an ordinance and the other one a resolution, authorized by the charter. Okay? And one is a resolution deleting those items that have been exhausted or are old and so on and so forth. And the other one was this particular ordinance that was discussed and advised to the Charter Review time and again. And time and again, I requested for the Charter Review, the whole board, to ask me questions whether or not they understood. If you happen not to have it understood, I am sorry, sir, but that was totally stated. And your answer is no, and this is proper way to do it according to my legal opinion.
Well, your legal opinion, but the legal opinion of the charter review and the reason of the charter review is get together to review the charter and take to the voters. That is the reason why the charter review get together, Villalobos.
Mr. Mayor.
That's what I have to understand.
Yes.
Mr. Mayor, I request from you to take this out to the vote, whether or not you want to approve it or not. I am not going to engage in the personal discussion with any one of the commissioners. I believe that I was quite clear what I was, and the records will reflect it into what I said and what I didn't say. So I would respectfully request that you call this for a vote, please.
No, let me, Mayor.
Mr. Mayor, we should
Now, one moment, please.
request to call the vote,
Wait,
please.
Rodriguez.
Request to call the
Wait,
vote, please.
Rodriguez, wait. Let me tell you, Mr. Villalobos, I'm
That's
going
out
to
of
make
order,
a
sir.
motion. I'm going to make a motion for approval of this under your responsibility that you said that this was approved in the Charter Review Board to be approved by the commission in the regular meeting. I make a motion to approve under your responsibility, your legal opinion that you said that's the way. I make a motion to approve.
Mr. Mayor, you
Second,
have to
yes.
open the public hearing before taking this item to vote.
Today, we have a public
make a
hearing.
motion already.
This is a public hearing.
Okay, okay. Thank you for clarifying that. I don't see public hearing. Yes, it's on the heading. You're absolutely right. It's been a long
Open
time.
here, don't worry.
Okay, we open the public hearing. Anybody wants to speak on the subject? Anybody wants to speak on the subject? Okay, back to the table. We close the public hearing.
I do
Let
have
me
a comment.
Let me clarify something. And I'm just going to say it once, and if we don't understand, then we'll move forward. I remember very clear when the city attorneys mentioned that there were parts of the charter review that needed to go to vote. And there were parts where the city attorney had the liberty, and I might not be using the proper word, to do certain changes to the charter, and this is one of those. And I'll leave it at that, okay? So,
Mr. Mayor, may I? The records will reflect that both our city attorney and my colleague, Commissioner Suarez, are correct in their statements. The city attorney, we did discuss this multiple meetings, many meetings. But the reason Commissioner Suarez is not aware of it, because he missed all those meetings. So both the city attorney is correct and the commissioner is correct. He did not know this, he was not aware of it, because he wasn't present, and the records will reflect that.
No, I was present in the second meeting or so that he talked about this.
But we discussed it
But-
many
but
others after
My point
that.
is not, Commissioner Rodriguez, my point is not that. My point is that the Charter Review Board get together for a reason. But now I make a motion to approve, in my opinion, under the legal opinion of Mr. Villalobos. I
Second.
make a motion to approve.
okay, so I have a second. And can you call the vote, please?
Yes, Commissioner Suarez, how do you vote?
Yes.
Commissioner Blanes?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Rodriguez?
Yes.
Mayor Mujina?
Yes,
4-0, item passes.
thank you. Madam Clerk, shall we go back to
I-
the beginning of the agenda, or shall we proceed jumping all over the place here?
This has been fun, jumping all over the place.
I'm gonna have a hard time generating
Does
minutes
anybody,
for this
does
meeting.
anybody
Keep
know
going,
if there's
keep
a
going.
full moon tonight?
Keep going, keep
Two
going.
nights
I
ago
think we
was
should
a full moon.
proceed with the original order of the agenda, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, so let's go back to.
Item 5, report of the city manager.
Let me find my report. Did you issue a copy to the
Yes.
commissioners of the report?
Yes,
You all
we
have a
have it.
copy?
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, I'll make it really brief.
It's a waning crescent.
On June 1st, 2018, the Office of Property Appraiser will be delivering the preliminary tax rolls as dictated by Florida statutes and the Department of Revenue. As such, and as we speak, we're already in budget mode. This said, and in anticipation of my expected retirement, we need to set the dates for the public hearing on the city budgets, which cannot coincide with Miami-Dade County Public Schools or the Miami-Dade County Board of County Commissioners. I've attached a copy of a calendar that we prepared of the upcoming meetings to include the public hearings as set by Miami-Dade County Public Schools and the Board of County Commissioners hearings. In addition, we must observe the regulations set forth by TRIM, which is the calendar that governs the budget process in the time involved. I would strongly encourage the mayor and city commission to set the dates and times for these meetings tonight. The presentation, and to go right into the issue, the presentation of the preliminary budget will probably be my last official act on July 18th, 2018, for the time being. That is correct, sir. Thank you. And as I pass on the baton, I've discussed the calendar for the month of September with you, Mr. Mayor, as well as with some members of the City Commission and with Mr. Penna, who will be presenting on behalf of, as an acting city manager, the tentative and the final budget hearing. So we've scheduled Tuesday, September 4th, and we are asking you to consider a special commission meeting for the sole purpose of the presentation of the tentative city budget that starts October 1st, 2018 through September 30th, 2019. As you will note in the calendar, Miami-Dade County Public Schools has a meeting on Wednesday, September 5th, and the Board of County Commissioners on Thursday, September 6th. So there is that one opportunity on Tuesday because of the Labor Day holiday as well for us to submit and be governed and comply with the trim calendar. So could you quickly maybe check your calendars to see?
What's
if
that
this-
date again, Madam Manager?
That would be Tuesday, September 4th at 7:30 PM, and that would be a special commission meeting, tentative public hearing, on the tentative budget.
So then we wouldn't have the meeting on the 5th. This would take
That,
the
I'm
place
gonna
of
go
the-
to that next.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
I'm fine with September 4th at 7:30.
Rodriguez,
Me too.
Yes, sir.
she make a beautiful thing.
Oh.
here. See?
I'm looking at my calendar.
Okay,
Commissioner Suarez, are you okay with that?
I am okay. I mean,
You're
it's a
okay.
beautiful calendar. I tell
Okay,
you.
tell Cady. Okay, so if we're okay, then, that would be your first tentative budget hearing on Tuesday, the 4th. On
The- wh- wh-
Wednesday,
When is the preliminary?
the preliminary is, the preliminary is called the submittal, as
The
far as,
submittal.
that would be July 18th at 7:30 PM. July 18th, 2018.
That's the regular commission meeting.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And that is the submittal, and we're going to, because of the trim requirements, you'll be setting a tentative millage rate at that time.
Okay.
Then you're going to, set your tentative millages and approve a tentative budget on September 4th. And then we recommend, because of the timelines involved with the budget ads, and those have to meet statutory requirement, that you hold your public hearing, your final city public hearing on the city budgets on Wednesday, September 19th, which also falls on a regular city commission day. And what we would try to do to cooperate is keep that agenda light, or as light as possible, so that we can devote our time to the city budget.
Okay.
Okay? That would be our recommendation. If you agree with these timelines,
Agree.
we will,
Agree.
all right? Great.
Agree, and also agree the July 30 is a big party.
The,
What?
also,
Look, July 30. Her day.
my day, Cari is,
Your day.
she noted it on the calendar. All right, so that being said, the one meeting on the 19th covers your mandatory requirement under the charter to have a commission meeting, one meeting a month. And I would recommend that you consider canceling the September 5th, 2018 city commission meeting, because our city clerk as well will be out of town on a scheduled, or planned vacation. So that will give us or Mr. Penna's office at the time and the finance department an opportunity to work with the submittal of the tentative information to the state and to the county.
Okay, agree.
So if
Perfect.
you agree to cancel that one meeting, then
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
excellent. Okay, and let me go back to the calendar. We have a holiday on July 4th, and there needs to be an observed holiday, and we celebrate our Independence Day at the rec. So you have to make a motion to cancel officially your scheduled commission meeting for that day.
Motion.
Second.
Okay.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion passes.
Thank you very much. The next item is, we have a scheduled meeting with the auditors, and we may have to change this because I was just notified that Mrs. Leon's mother-in-law just passed away
When?
a few minutes ago.
Today? Oh, my
Yes.
God.
Sorry to hear.
Oh,
Yes.
my
Sorry.
God. She
So,
was sick.
yeah, she was very sick, and keep the family in your prayers. She sent us a text message. We have a scheduled meeting with our independent auditor tomorrow at 3 p.m. That may not take place. That said, we're still planning to meet with you, Mr. Mayor, and the auditors sometime early next week so that we can proceed and have the auditors present the financial statements for last fiscal year at the next commission meeting. Summer Camp 2018. Attached, please find a draft of the summer camp program, which we have uploaded to the website and Facebook page. We will be distributing the program to start attracting our summer campers. And so we've supplied our Park and Recreation Chairman with a copy of the program. As well, we've provided a calendar of all the events for field trips via email. And last but not least is, well, not last and not least, I'm sorry, the Recreation Advisory Board. Our office will be scheduling a meeting with Commissioner Blanes in the coming days to discuss capital improvement projects that have been addressed in the CIP and in our comp plan, as we need to move forward with some projects soon into the next phase. And so what we'd like to do first is Mr. Penna, Mrs. Leon, and I are going to sit down and prepare a list of the dollars from the park impact fees that have been used or are used to leverage grants that have already been submitted and committed and in the pipeline. We will then proceed to meet with the chair and propose a meeting with the committee so that we know exactly how many dollars we have available towards our next projects. But we can't move forward until we meet with the committee. Also, the FERDAP cycle opens very soon, and we need to have advisory board meetings so that we can score points as we have been successful in the past with the FERDAP grants. So all of this is also happening very quickly. The next item in my report is the Florida retirement system. We know that some changes took place during the legislative session that will alter or change and possibly increase our employer contributions effective July 1st, 2018. And so currently we are awaiting the official memorandum from the state. The next item is the retirement of Marcos Acosta, the Police Department Communications Supervisor. Marcos will be retiring on May 30th of this year after 23 years of service and employment with the City of West Miami. The department is currently interviewing candidates for the position, which will become a midnight shift based on some restructuring that the administration has made for the dispatchers. Commissioner Blanca has requested to recognize Marcos at the next City Commission meeting scheduled for May 16th, if that is okay with you.
Absolutely.
Okay. Along those lines, our Finance Director, Mercedes Leon, is also coming up on her 35 years of service to the City of West Miami and is slated to retire on July 30th. And the mayor has requested that we recognize Mrs. Leon also to be presented at the next commission meeting.
Agreed.
So
Aye.
we will prepare, work with the city clerk to prepare those recognitions. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Next item?
Item 6, report of the city attorney.
There's no report by the city attorney.
Thank you. Next item?
Item 7, report of the city engineers. None this evening. Item 8, committee reports. Report of the mayor.
Okay. Commissioner Rodriguez, what was it that we had the other day? The tree thing?
Arbor Day.
Arbor Day.
Arbor Day.
That was really nice.
It was very nice.
I'm sorry I couldn't be there for a long time, but the little time that I was there, I really enjoyed. It was
It was,
sorry
no,
I missed it.
granted, I complete, thank you, Commissioner, I know you're always there, but you were literally, you know, how should I say, off of your feet.
Yeah.
So I completely understand. I want to thank staff. They did a great job in planning it. I know there's a lot of planning that went into it. So I want to thank you. It was a very nice event.
It was.
And on another note, I met with the city clerk today. A while back, if you remember, we talked about, we're going to present Sylvania Heights, their fifth grade graduating class with certificates of merit. What was it called again, Madam Clerk? Merit Award?
Merit Award.
Merit Award. So the city clerk has graciously provided me with a draft, which I sent to Mrs. Reyes, the principal of Sylvania. So once she approves that, we'll be ready to present those at graduation time to Sylvania.
Okay. I don't have anything else, but I know you have something else that you forgot. No, I'm
Me?
talking about you, Vice Mayor.
I have something
Yes,
else.
Career
yes,
day.
career. The little kids that came.
Oh, yes.
How can you forget that?
How can I forget that? It was just the other day. Again, very well, thanks to staff, the great planning. It was one of the best ones we've done. We're getting better. You know, first year was a little, you know, we had to learn. Second, this was, I think, the third year we've done that. And the children truly enjoyed it. As always, they loved visiting the senior center. The police department, of course, is always a big hit. The jail, so Sergeant Deluz did a great job. And the commission meeting was very entertaining. They held a really good commission meeting. They really did. So I want to thank the staff that helped, and I know, again, Commissioner, you were unable to be here, you were off your feet, and I know that Mayor, you had a business conflict
I do enjoy
schedule.
that.
But it was fun. Once again, it was fun, and they had a great time, and the staff did an extraordinary job in providing that experience to them. So thank you all.
Okay, next item.
Item 9, citizen presentations.
Any citizen presentation?
Ralph?
Ralph?
Eric?
No presentations, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, next item, item 10.
Item 10, under unfinished business, the nomination of member to the Code Enforcement Board by Vice Mayor Rodriguez.
Yes, I have one. Finally, thank you for allowing me the time. I'd like to nominate Maria Diaz to the Code Enforcement Board. She's retired now. She has the time. I spoke with her, and she graciously accepts the nomination.
Excellent. She will be welcome.
Perfect. Thank you.
Poor people that go to the Code Enforcement Board. All right. So what do we have to do, Madam Clerk? Just say aye, or,
All in favor?
all in favor, say aye.
Nomination.
Okay,
Thank you.
for Maria Diaz.
Item 10B, after action report by the Office of the City Manager regarding the traffic concerns expressed by city residents.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. On April 27th, I issued a after-action report regarding the traffic concerns that came to your attention via city residents who came before you and presented their concerns for their well-being and the safety of the community. We had a staff meeting on April 25th, 2018, as suggested by our office, that further enlightened the residents as to the different options the city had, both on a short-term and a long-term. Although there is no long-term or short-term real solution, I think Miami-Dade County is part of a massive traffic jam pretty much all day long. And the day after that meeting was held, the Miami Herald published a very interesting article about the commutes, the long commutes that the residents of Miami-Dade County have to endure. And so the article is also inclusive of your packet. I wish that more people would have shown up at that meeting. We had a sign-up list, but we had a handful of folks, and I thought we put together a very interesting meeting from both a management perspective, and law enforcement, and public works perspective. Our chief made his presentation, and we actually talked about the issues affecting our quality of life. To add to that, the chief touched upon the rising cost of highway tolls, which have forced drivers to use alternative measures to commute. We talked about the problem being compounded by the app that we know called Waze, which is a mobile app which is used nationwide by hundreds of thousands of people, from the information we got from Chief Andrew. In addition to that, Chief Andrews researched the Department of Transportation website, and we came to know that an alarming statistical data based on the 2016, correct? 2016 commuters is that our major abutting arteries, which is Southwest 8th Street, 57th Avenue, and 67th Avenue, holds over 100,000 vehicles a day. Am I correct, sir?
You hear that?
100,000 cars a day. Coral Way as well, and I'm sorry I left them out. So these, at a very minimum, if 10% of those individuals use our local roads, we have a traffic nightmare on our hands, because that's just compounded by our own residents and their need to use our city streets. And we also want to call to your attention that our residential homes have grown over time, as we expressed earlier, and families own more vehicles today per family than they did in the past. Those vehicles travel in and out of the city on a daily basis, and our density projects have increased our population by at least 1,500 residents that we acknowledge are now living in the city, and they do deserve the right to commute. So we definitely have a traffic problem. I touched upon the possibility of the city adopting an interlocal agreement with the county, and that was discussed earlier, and we know that it's now deferred, which we would have to yield to Miami-Dade County had that interlocal been approved, or even if not approved, we have to conduct traffic studies and submit to the county the recommendations contemplated in the traffic study before we're able to provide immediate relief to the area residents. So nothing on a short term other than traffic enforcement efforts and citations that, once brought to the attention of the police department, have generated over 600 traffic or moving citations to those that are speeding or running through stop signs or committing traffic intersections. Interestingly enough, the police department has gathered data that suggests that at least 85% of those individuals cited do not live in the city of West Miami. Am I correct, Chief and the deputy? Yes. Okay, so we have 85% of those 600 citations are not West Miami residents. So clearly, while I am not an engineer, our traffic nightmares are a part of a county-wide problem, and we are not immune to it. Our deputy chief has and will be recommending that the upcoming traffic study contemplate installation of signage that could or would, if approved by Miami-Dade County again, prohibit certain turns during peak traffic hours. And the deputy chief brought copies of those traffic signs and showed the residents at the meeting what he was proposing that we look into or incorporate as part of the traffic study. I encourage that we hear further from our chief for the benefit of those that were not in attendance, however affected by the situation. It seems to me, based on all this information that we've supplied you with, all the statistical information, that we are very centrally located. We're part of a traffic nightmare. I don't think there's any part of the city of Miami-Dade County that is immune to this situation. But I think that we really cannot make any long-term recommendations until this traffic study is conducted. So there is an imminent need for the traffic study.
Perfect. I agree with you.
And we are being recommended for funding by TPO for a July 1st funding cycle. If that cycle or that approval is not granted for whatever reason, then Mr. Penna, Mrs. Leon, and I, in speaking about the budget, have made arrangements to fund a traffic study in the next fiscal year. That concludes my report. I can tell you that Sandy Tamayo and her husband David, Alina Campos, Marisabel Cerille, Ralph Oreye Jr., who's here this evening, Gustavo Ceballos were there at the meeting, and they left with a very good understanding of what has occurred, what is affecting us, and they have a very good understanding that the city has their best interest at heart, and that the traffic study can come up with possible solutions, more of a long-term approach to solving the issue. So that would conclude my report at this time.
Thank you. Great report.
Yep.
Great report.
Which, by the way, I should have reported on committee report. I'm just gonna say something really quick. I had developed an interest in the traffic, and therefore, being attending different meetings, as a matter of fact, the other day, we were, something that it was presented by FIU, by Richard Florida, and a gentleman which I forget, he's the king of Spur in California, and I attended there with Ms. Aguilar and Juan Pena. And the whole idea is to get educated on traffic and urban planning and what's going on in other places. And what it was interesting in that meeting, something that came to mind is the mindset of the people of Dade County. Actually, outsiders looking at Miami, they see a simple solution because we live in a grid system that is very well defined, you know, the north, the south, you know, and so on, and to establish corridors for rapid transit and to alleviate, they see it so clear, where in other cities, they don't see it that clear, like in California and so on, you know, plus the fact that we live in a flat place. And it's funny that outsiders see this so clear, and like Commissioner Suarez mentioned the other day, the talk about alleviating the traffic and the rapid transit and all that is been going on since what, Commissioner Suarez, since the 70s? They've been talking about it and they don't fix it?
Yeah.
So,
The
anyway.
smart plan.
A smart plan. Anyway, next item.
Next item would be item 11E. This is a report by Fausto Gomez from Gomez Barker and Associates in reference to legislative session report.
Well, obviously, we got to defer that item.
I
Mr.
understand
Gomez
he's
is
not
not
here.
present.
Supposed to be,
He
so.
was supposed to be here.
Yep. Defer, and we recommend that we defer this item, May 16th.
Okay.
That works.
Next item, I believe, is L.
Yes, item 11L, this is a report by the Office of the City Clerk regarding the placement of charter amendment questions on the November 6, 2018 general election ballot. And as you know, the Charter Review Board recommended and the Commission approved the 2 amendment questions to be placed on the November 6, 2018 ballot. Upon our request, the Department of Elections responded, in this case, Susie Trudy, she's the Deputy Supervisor of Elections on Government Affairs and Media Relations. And their message is included in your packet. They say that as of today's date, 13 state constitutional amendments are included in the ballot. Also, Miami-Dade County amendments, and they, at this point, recommend to place amendment questions rather in the August 28, 2018 ballot. This is a recommendation. They say that they will be negligent not to recommend, to recommend to put questions on the November ballot, because the November ballot is expected to be a very long and complicated ballot. So they recommend to put the amendment questions on the primary election ballot. So we are submitting this to your consideration. This is their recommendation. The city attorney in my office, we were in contact with the office of Susie Trudy. They say that it's not that they are denying our request, but they recommend to put these two amendment questions of our charter on the August ballot. So it is entirely up to you whether we proceed requesting to be on the November ballot or if we go to the August ballot.
Is there any difference in monies? It's going to cost us more or less, or the same amount of money?
I would say it's the same amount of money. What I see different is that November ballot has a bigger voter turnout. On the August ballot, probably the August ballot will be a smaller one, or only like the super voters vote on that election, so it'll be smaller. But in terms of, I mean, that's the difference I see in terms of money. I don't think there is a difference between one election and the
Can you
other.
clarify something?
Yes.
Is it a recommendation or a denial for November?
No, they said they are not denying our request, but they strongly recommend for us to put instead of on the November ballot, to put it on the August ballot. But isn't, as I said, they say that it is up to us.
Okay. Any thoughts on that?
Are we ready? Are we at the point that we can put it on that August
Okay,
ballot?
The August ballot, the deadline is June 8th, so we still have time to be on the August ballot. The November ballot obviously it falls in August. We have time. And I understand that the Charter Review Board approved and we all approved, and we were with our minds set for the November election for the ballot.
Any Commissioner Blanes, any thoughts?
We would like to hear your
Not
thoughts
political savvy
because
on that sense?
I don't know, I'm at a loss of words here.
Madam Manager, any thoughts on this?
Well, November is going to be a very busy election. I would recommend that we allow the questions to appear, and in the August. The only downside to having it in the August is that August is a primary election and some folks leave on vacation before kids go back in school. And so the voter turnout may be very low, and we may not have sufficient time to educate the community on what these ballot questions mean in terms of our charter and our governing system. That would be the only downside.
And I do recall in many charter review meetings, and we have two charter review members present, that we discussed that education is a big part of the citizenry understanding these ballot questions. So
And why
if we
this
move
is
it up,
being
if we try to
presented.
rush to move it up to August, we may not have sufficient time to educate our residents.
And yes, just for the record, that the elections are August 28th, and most schools are already
In session, right, but then
So-
there's early voting to consider.
Yes.
For the sake of allowing us sufficient time to educate our residents, because that's a big part of them understanding what we're trying to change, I feel we
May
should stick
require-
with November, because
may require
we'll be
more time.
rushed and will not be able to.
And if I may, to add to that, it was presented to the committee, to the Charter Review Committee, that we couldn't meet the April deadline, and we said that from the beginning, and this was going on the November ballot.
Correct.
And so by placing this in the August ballot, we may be inadvertently misleading the effort of the Charter Review Board or the information we gave them.
I
So,
agree.
So,
My opinion is based on all that, that it remains on the November ballot as agreed upon by the Charter Review Board.
I second your opinion on that. I agree, I'm in agreement. Anybody else? One way or the other, Commissioner Suarez, Commissioner Blanes? What's your suggestion?
I don't have opinion about that. Whatever you.
We just proceed with our request to be on the November ballot.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, next item?
Yes, next item will be also a report, item M, report by the Office of the City Clerk in connection to a request by Miami-Dade Elections Department for the use of the West Miami Community Center as early voting site for the primary elections of August 28, 2018, and general election of November 6, 2018. And on Monday of last week, actually, this Monday, past Monday, we received a request by the Elections Department by Miriam Rivero. She is the early voting manager, requesting the use of the community center for early voting for the August 28th, 2018 election and for the November elections. She is requesting the use of the community center from August 8th all the way through August 26th and October 16th all the way through November 4th. These both periods of time to be used as early voting. We were in contact. I called back because I received it through an email and asked her about as inquired by the Office of the City Manager as to the cost of the elections, the possibility of reimbursement from the Elections Department of the cost involved in the early voting process, because we probably will have a loss of revenue, maintenance, employees opening and closing the venue. I checked the calendar, and there is only one reservation that can be probably transferred to another venue. So the calendar is clear for those dates. Thinking that of your consideration. And also at this point, we are asking for your recommendation whether to use the community center or not. We know and we advise the Elections Department that it requires a lot of logistic changes on our part because we have to relocate the seniors to the recreation center for example, in the month of August, where we still have summer camp going on. So it requires a lot of adjustments on our part, but we say that we've done it before. It's not that it's mission impossible. We can do it. But also, as I said before, the reimbursement part, when I pointed out to the Elections Department, to Miriam Rivero, she says that they did not have a budget for that. I informed her that we expect probably an amount of $5,000 between the two periods used for the center. The estimated cost of maintenance and employee and opening and closing. So we still don't know if we're gonna be reimbursed or not, because she says that she didn't have any recollections of reimbursements to the users, for the use of the community center. Madam Manager says that she has a recollections that in the past we've been reimbursed.
We have.
So we've been. So at this point, we may or may not be reimbursed. They said that is a service to the community, that is beneficial to the community. So we are asking for your guidance and recommendation on how to proceed on this request.
Well, here's my voting. That's the heart of this country. I always talked about that. That's so important. That's what it's all about. Now, something something sounds different here. One, not getting reimbursed, and I think probably the most important is it seems to be a longer time. I don't think we had such a long time, and maybe I'm wrong, and displacing the senior citizen for such a long time from the community center. And you mentioned the fact that we still have the summer, so then we still have the kids in the rec.
That's correct.
So when do we have to give you an answer on this? I
Actually, they wanted an answer like right away, and I said, I replied that I have to submit it, that we had to submit it before the city commission for approval. And I know, because what happens is that they have to bring the equipment, once the equipment is there, and probably for bigger elections, they have to bring it like a week prior. And after they bring the equipment, nobody can go there, only employees and certain people. So that's why it seems like longer. And I understand that it's always, I mean, we're taking almost the whole month of August here, and kind of like October, the month of October, half of the month of October through November 4th for this purpose.
Mr. Mayor,
yes.
having worked for the City of Miami Fire Department for 33 years and being at different stations throughout my career, at election times, and seeing that the fire stations are used as precincts. Why doesn't the county use station number 40 as a precinct for early voting?
There are many requirements in terms of parking.
City of Miami does it. It shouldn't be any different from Dade County.
I don't have an answer for that. Maybe
Dade County
this station doesn't have the.
Dade County conducts elections in the City of Miami, and they do it at fire stations. Why don't they do it at station number 40?
I don't have an answer
So
for
maybe that's
that.
something that we need to suggest to them. They're going to be, causing our senior citizens, a great deal of
Inconvenience.
And, that's why the fire station is there for, to serve the community. And, I saw this through the years, through many, many years. Dade County conducts elections in fire stations in the City of Miami. Station number 2 was used, station number 9 was used, station number 1 was used, station number 3 was used, station number 7 was used. And guess what? We had to deal with it. Firefighters had to deal with it and work around it.
Commissioner, enlighten me, for my, what do you do? I mean, what portion do you use? Do you park the trucks outside? I mean, how do you?
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
so that's how you do
You
it.
use the apparatus room. You use the apparatus room, which is the garage area, for voting.
Mayor, I have a question.
Yes.
The discussion we have now,
Mm-hmm.
the point is what? The money?
Whether
cost-
you authorize, not the money, we
No,
may
so
or
much the
may
money.
not be reimbursed, whether you authorize or not, the use of the community center
the-
as an early
all right.
voting site.
You present if we approve or not the use of the community center, right?
Yes.
Number one.
Yes.
Now, what you need is, number 2, do they reimburse the cost?
We don't have any guarantees.
Okay. Now, can we call Commissioner Rebecca Sosa asking her to help to reimburse the cost of our community center?
We can,
That
absolutely.
what we should do. If we got no guarantee from the election department, we should go to Commissioner Rebecca Sosa and say, Commissioner, we have the problem, they may use the month, 4 weeks, this room, is going to be a cost involved, can you help us to guarantee the reimbursement? And then we get the answer from Rebecca, and then I think we have the reimburse of the cost.
What do we do with the
We
seniors?
has been doing in the past, what we have been doing in the past.
What do we do with the seniors?
The
Where,
seniors,
where do we place?
In the past, we was putting the senior in the
Renaissance.
Renaissance.
How much does that cost?
Well, I'll tell you, in the past, Rebecca Sosa, Commissioner Sosa, has been helping us with that.
Well,
recreation.
So what we have to is to
if-
call Rebecca Sosa
if
from
she
your
can-
office,
if-
ask her if she can help us for that. Because I know she likes to have in our city a voting place. Because this is a home of the county commissioner, this is a home of the senator, and I know both of them like to have, has been for many years, a voting place in our city.
And what
So
better
what we
place-
should do is ask them, Rebecca, if she can help us with that, and then we accommodate the people like we did before, the last year, in the Renaissance.
what better place in station number 40? That's the way it's
Well,
done.
Blanes, you're talking about hypothetically, I'm talking about something happened before.
But maybe we can
Before
suggest
we
to her
took
to do
the
that too.
seniors to the Renaissance, and we have the early voting there, it works. What we need is the help from the just follow the money.
Money,
Where
okay.
the money is,
But-
that's what you
but-
should do.
If I may, I did not check, we have not had the opportunity to check with the Renaissance because
What will we have to do it? Do it tomorrow?
we
That's
can
why we're
check with them
talking here
tomorrow,
tonight,
if that is the wish of the commission, to see if there is availability. I suspect that in the morning, there is availability, there will be a cost because they have to bring employees in and we relocate and,
Yolanda, whatever is we
Yes.
did in the past.
Absolutely.
The same we did in the past. We may do it this year.
sir, I'm not
And
going
this
against
is nothing to
that,
be
but
all night discussing here. Tomorrow, you call these people.
to check
try to arrange
availability,
things,
that's
and
the only
it.
thing I would do.
So we
And
defer
that's
this.
Wait.
Quick question.
I suggest that we also check Commissioner Blanes' idea. And again, something, let's clarify something, Commissioner Suarez. The first statement that I said is election is important, so they're important not only to the commissioner and to the senator, but they're important to all of us. So all I'm trying to do is we are trying to make something work. I don't know, but when seniors get displaced, they get aggravated. Sometimes we lose some of them, and they don't come back, and et cetera. I mean, so we got to think about everything. So, but I think, Ms. Aguilar, I think what you should do is follow different options, and as well with Madam Clerk.
I have a
And
thought.
and I
You're
know
done.
Commissioner Rodriguez wants to say something.
I believe in the past, if I'm not mistaken, we held early voting up here. It would
Yes.
not displace anyone. So why can't we entertain the early voting site up here in the chambers?
Chamber also is another
It would
option,
not
okay?
displace anyone.
Go ahead with that.
They don't want it?
No, they said,
Why?
last time that we offered, they said that it was not an option convenient because
Because they want
certain
to have a
requirements
cafeteria.
they had.
Excuse me.
Parking requirements, elevator was too
The parking doesn't
small.
change whether it's
Right.
in the community center up here. It's still the same
Actually,
parking.
We have more parking because we have the abutting lots in the,
But no, excuse me.
It's the
not
same
only that,
property.
Commissioner Rodriguez, before they want to have that room because they have a kitchen, they have the bathrooms, they have all the commodities. I mean,
Correct.
all the-
I was
for
gonna
them.
go there.
And they want to have their personnel with the cafeteria, their kitchen, bathrooms, and all the facilities.
right.
Well,
It's a
we-
long day for the poll workers.
There's
There's a
therefore-
bathroom downstairs. We can offer them the kitchen
Well,
of
that-
the city
that's what-
hall.
That's what you said, but they
Well,
don't
I
like
think we
that.
should offer it again. We
Well,
should
they don't
offer
like
it.
We
that.
did, and it's
Instead of-
not,
instead of-
they did
instead
not
of-
request the community, the commission
cannot go
chambers for
backwards,
that
my
purpose.
Very, very simple. Instead of discussing that on the table, let's, direct the administration and the clerk to try to find a solution.
To explore, I understand possibilities, but we need your, I mean, a response from you, whether you authorize us or not, at least to proceed, because
Okay,
somehow I have to.
all in favor, say aye.
I have
Aye.
to-
All right, you do the
Unanimously.
work, That's it.
Okay.
Okay,
Next
Go
item.
ahead, go ahead.
thank you.
You are the
Next item.
Clerk, go ahead and.
I didn't
We
say-
got
I
one-
didn't say
The
aye.
executive manager, that do,
I
you do it.
abstained from that.
No. We have the option of the fire station as well.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
We'll explore all those avenues.
I think it's a great idea. I don't know why I ain't thought of that.
Through the years. It's
Let's
part-
go,
it's
be
part of the package.
practical, people, be practical and be realistic. Don't
Next
go around-
item, next item.
Item 11N, a resolution of the City of West Miami, Florida, amending the 5-year transportation plan for the Citizens Independent Transportation Trust for the 5-year fiscal plan 2017-21 for the City of West Miami by adding $80,000 of PTP reserves towards the previously approved $160,000 for Phase 1 sidewalk repairs and requiring certain improvements, dedications, and other terms and conditions by mayor and city commission.
Madam Clerk, Manager.
Okay. Mr. Penna and I and Mrs. Leon agreed that we could use some of the reserves from PTP and put in for an amendment to the use of our dollars to actually make a big dent in the sidewalk program. So we previously had $160,000 approved from general fund and PTP funds, and we'd like to add to that so we can continue your efforts in correcting sidewalks.
Excellent idea.
I have a question for Mr.
Yes.
Penna. Mr. Penna, I know that they've been doing a good job and people are happy, but I've noticed that there's a rough finish to the sidewalks that this company is pouring. As compared, I don't know if there's a standard, but I know that it's a pretty porous, rough finish. And I know my neighbor on Sylvania, on the corner of Sylvania and 11th Street, she herself had replaced a good portion of the sidewalk in front of her house. And if you go there and you take a look, that sidewalk it looks like a higher grade, work. It has a smooth finish, and it looks a lot better than a lot of the work that they're doing. Not that they're doing bad work, but is there any way that we can get them to smooth it out, a little bit better?
Use a different broom.
Correct. We require a light broom finish.
Okay.
If they used the wrong broom, they might have given it too rough of a texture.
'Cause I've
We'll
known-
we'll look at it. If it needs to be replaced, they'll replace it.
Okay, thank you.
As far as the plan is actually a 5-year plan, which adds $80,000 per year, which is the money that we're transferring back to PTP
Right.
due to the
The
audit.
reserve dollars that we are required to have, and so it's an $80,000 a year allocation.
Which over 5 years will be $400,000 for sidewalk repairs.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Creative financing, I like that.
Motion.
Okay, I need a second.
Second,
All right, call the vote.
Commissioner Suarez, how do you vote?
yes.
Commissioner Blanes?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Rodriguez?
Yes.
Mayor Mujina?
Yes,
4-0, item passes.
go to the order.
I do have something to go to the order, and I want to bring it up to see if I can get your buy-in before I have staff spin their wheels unnecessarily. If you recall, probably 4 years ago when I first came on the commission, I brought the Airbnb topic to the table. It was new then, so we discussed it for a little while, and I believe, if my memory serves me, we tabled it indefinitely. Mr. Penna, correct, Madam Manager?
Yes, ma'am?
It's been brought to my attention that we now have a problem with Airbnb in our city. A couple of properties, at the very least, that I've been made aware of. So before I have staff, start working on this, I wanted to bring it to the table, as I think we should always do, bring something to the table before we have staff work on it, to see if you believe this warrants looking at Airbnb again. I know we tabled it to wait to see what the county was gonna do. It was new, we didn't know what any municipality was gonna do with it, so we kind of were waiting. We didn't want to be the first to take action. So I believe the win is now. It's here. It's causing some problems already. So I'd like to readdress it, obviously with your buy-in.
May I, Mr. Mayor?
Yeah, I'm calling it Airbnb,
May
just,
I,
I'm
Mr.
sorry.
Yes,
I'm sorry,
yes.
I shouldn't specifically, talk about that platform. It's the short-term rental platform, not that specific company. Thank you, Mr. Penna. Yes?
Yes.
Ms. City Attorney, yes.
An ordinance of the City of West Miami, Florida, establishing the vacation rental regulations, providing for general framework for the regulation of vacation rentals, making finding of fact, providing for enforcement requirement of vacation rentals, requesting providing requirement for registration, requiring for inspections, specifying duties on vacation rental owners, and allowing agents, providing for maximum occupancy and grandfathering the occupancy, requiring for rental agreement, providing provision for posting, and providing for severability codification on effective date. That's an ordinance that I'm preparing. Now, the issue was not only the fact that this was, we needed to review other cities, but the fact is that the vacation rentals is governed by Florida statute. And we have to be very careful of what to do and what we should do, because this is governed by section 509.032 Florida statutes that in essence states regulations of public lodging is preempted to the state. So in other words, we just can't do anything that the state does not allow. We have reviewed multiple ordinances throughout the state of Florida, and we're in the process of having even vacation application licenses, and we are on top of that. And as I say, I have already prepared the heading for an ordinance for you to consider.
Okay, but let me clarify something. Commissioner Rodriguez, all he says is to bring it to the table for discussion. So I think, I know that you always want to do more in abundance of caution, but let me go back to me now, go to the order, what happened today. I suggest moving forward into the future, every time we have an item that we can potentially, the item that needs a lot of study, and an item that needs to be, I think we should bring it to the table for discussion to get consensus from this table before we prepare an ordinance, we go into first reading and second reading, and then we argue over here, and we might make the wrong decision. I think we should bring things for discussion first.
Well taken, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
But I just wanted to show that we have been doing our job pursuant to
No
the
doubt.
request of one of the commissioners.
No doubt that you have been doing that. You always do.
Thank you, Mr. Attorney.
And we appreciate that. But, okay, so my go to the order is next time we have an item that is an important item, and I keep referring back to Commissioner, Blanes when he says we have very little to mess up, so let's not mess it up. Let's discuss it. Let's get some consensus. But in this case, I mean, you got my support. I don't know.
Here's another thought,
Yes.
just a food for thought. How do you determine what's enough? You
What-
would have, in order to determine what's enough, you have to know what's more than enough. Think about that.
Very deep.
So by the time that we figure out that we have more than enough, we have messed up. To know what's enough, you have to know what's more than enough.
Well
In
said.
our case, if we know what's more than enough, we have messed up.
My feelings are, and along those lines, we're very small. Yes, this may be already approved in, other municipalities or the county or wherever. I don't know, but that's a large area of land. We're very small. So one or two here is already a problem. It's my concern.
And yes, I'm alluding to that, and
Right.
I'm alluding to other things too.
Yes. So do I have your buy-in that I may continue discussion?
You have mine.
Yes.
With
Yes.
staff and legal and everyone else?
Mayor, I have a question.
Yes.
I don't have time, I have to go. If you are going to keep with that.
No,
No, we're done. Do I have your buy-in, sir? Do I have your buy-in? Do you even know what we were talking about?
I know.
Do I have your, do I have your buy-in to continue working with staff?
When you bring the issue, we discuss, but I have to go now.
Okay.
Wait, I
all
got
in
something
favor-
else.
All in
I-
favor,
I
say
got- Wait,
aye.
I got something else, real quick. Wait, don't go, Commissioner. I'm just kidding.
No, sir, it was,
Motion.
it was the good of the order that I brought this up.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Good night.
Good night.